All good?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All right.
Right, here we have Andrew Robinson, aka Crobo. You're right, we call you Crobo still. Have you let it go, or are you still?
No, not really, mate. It still hurts.
It still hurts, does it? Brilliant. So I just want to ask you just a quick introduction from yourself. How long you did in the services, and what did you do?
Yeah.
And then we'll sort of roll from there. We'll go into your childhood, see what set you up for actually joining the army. And then after that, we'll talk about your army career, talk about whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then we'll go into what you're doing now.
Sweet. All right. Happy days.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, so I'm Andy. 12 and a bit years, household cavalry. I think joined in 2007. Two tours of Afghanistan, Hurricane 13. Left a few years ago. Yeah. It's not much more to say, really, about it. Yeah, quite boring.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Oh, so we're done then.
Quite boring.
Did you leave pre or post COVID?
Pre, just as it was kicking in.
Same as me then. I left 2019.
Yes.
2019.
Same, yeah.
Was that the same year as you?
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it? Considering that we only lived down the road from each other.
I know, mate. I
Sort
know.
of lost contact.
Yeah, it was weird. I remember joining. I started my first proper job.
What, and the army's not a proper job?
Not really. My first adult job. I spent like 6 weeks in the office, and then it was like, work from home, and I was like, what's going on? Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But
yeah, it is.
Yeah. But.
So talk about your childhood. So what? So where'd you go to school?
So I went to school in Rugeley, a place called Western Springs. I went to Hagley Park Sports College, which you probably know of.
I believe I was going to end up going there as a child. That's the one. I want to explain it on top of the hill as you come up from bottom of Rugeley up to the top.
Other one.
Oh, is it
That's
the other
Fair
one?
Oak, yeah.
That's the one. Yeah, that's where I was going to go.
It's like the other side of the field, basically.
Yeah, glad I didn't know because you're all nutters over there.
Yeah. Fair one. It was all right, mate. I had a good childhood, to be fair. Dad was a copper, so he was probably a bit of the inspiration to join in the forces. He was on response, so he'd come home and tell what I would think were war stories, which were nowhere near in comparison of actual war stories looking back. But like all the cool stuff that you'd think you'd get up to. Mum didn't really work, and then. It's good, mate. It's good. Both grandparents lived abroad, so used to get sort of free holidays, going out to see them and stuff.
Where did they live?
One in Spain and one in Madeira, which was
Where's Madeira?
It's like a little Portuguese island.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's nice, mate. It's a really nice place.
Sweet. So just unpack. How was it? I say coping. How was it with your dad being in the police? And obviously, I can remember as a kid, if a parent was in the police, it was like, oh, don't talk to them in case they get someone in the family arrested or something like that. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So was that ever a thing
Don't think
when you
so.
was a kid, or did people just ignore you in general?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. No. I don't think it was ever a thing, mate. To be honest, I mean, I think I was quite sort of social at school anyway. Like, I didn't really talk about him, if I'm honest. Like, who talks around like, oh, that's a copper. I didn't go around like bragging or anything like that. So I don't think kids cared really. Like maybe their parents did.
Yeah. Maybe they did. Don't like all the tax evaders. Don't tell them we don't pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
So your mum? You said she didn't work.
No.
Is that she was just full-time mum or?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Nice. How was that?
It was all right. Yeah.
It was all right. Always having a parent, I suppose.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, I mean, like, it was handy having her about. I mean, she eventually did end up working when my sister was a bit older.
She's your younger sister, isn't she?
Yeah. Younger sister. Yeah. No, it's fine, mate. Like, honestly, it's fine. Like, decent house in Rugeley, like, decent set of mates. School was. I didn't enjoy school, but like enjoyed the people at school. That's what I mean. Like it's a bit like the army. Sometimes the job was a bit rubbish, but the lads made it decent.
Yeah, no, I agree. No one likes school until they're out of it and they're working, and then they're like, oh, do you know what? I'd kill for a day at school.
Yeah, exactly.
No responsibilities whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not even having to worry about bills.
Yeah, exactly.
So, your little sister.
Yeah.
What did she do?
She works at Boots now.
How does she?
Yeah, she ended up getting like a master's degree from Oxford in something, archaeology or something weird.
Archaeology.
Yeah,
Fancy that. That's
some-
mad. Did she not do anything that would relate to
you'd think
that qualification?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But since we're putting it out on the internet, I'll probably best behave myself. Um,
Sibling love, eh?
Yeah.
You gotta love them. You
Yeah.
gotta.
No, she's clever. She's clever. I mean, she's pregnant now with her second. So
Nice.
yeah, no, she's alright, mate. Lived in Oxford, moved back a few years ago to Rugeley. Don't see her that often. To be fair, we've got a big age gap, so got a good relationship, but not. We never really grew up.
Yeah. What was the age gap?
7 years.
7. So it's big enough to
Yeah. So
get away, sister.
Well, that's it, mate. So if you think when I joined the army at 17, she was 10.
Yeah.
So the ages or the years really where we probably would have got like a better bond. Mm-hmm. Probably like young teenage years, but I was never there. So
yeah. Did you? Was she fearful of you because you was in the army coming back? And no, was it just when you come home? What was it like on leave? Was it just like just a brother sister relationship? How is it getting on?
Yeah,
Did you ever do anything with her?
No, not really.
No.
Not really.
I suppose that age gap is quite big, isn't it? So it's not like it's 2 years with my sisters. They're twins, and they were a nightmare growing up with. But equally, I love them. I love them as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean. Okay. I think I would have just probably done what you done and just got on with my own stuff and carried on.
Mate, yeah. I mean, like if I was going, that age, you don't want to be playing like Pokemon or whatever she was doing it.
Or cops and robbers or something.
Yeah,
I'm past that now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and kicking doors in the army.
Yeah, that was it, mate. Yeah. So no, but she's fine. She's all right. She pretty much keeps herself to herself and that. And pretty much see her like most family occasions. And married and that. And husband's all right. So got no complaints, mate. Yeah.
Is there anything in your childhood that sticks out, traumatic wise, or
not other than being an absolute legend?
Well, you've got to go into this now.
Yeah.
You can't self-describe yourself as a legend and then not go into this.
Yeah, no, not really, mate. I would say I had a pretty standard childhood. I wouldn't say I had any childhood trauma or even anything sort of like overly extravagant either. If you know what I mean, just had a standard, pretty. I wouldn't say boring because it was good, but like pretty average childhood. Yeah. Had some good friends, like some really good friends that were like really keen on the military. So, almost developed like a really small friendship group with a few of those. And towards the sort of, 15, 16, that was all we were bothered about. Training, doing.
Was that the same guy that went into the same regiment as us?
No. So
I don't want to say his name in case he doesn't want.
Yeah. So it's another lad who's my best man at my wedding, if you remember him.
Yes, now that's a story. Yeah, we tried to kidnap you, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think should we leave that for when we're in when we get to the army piece, and then we'll talk about that and we'll open that one up. I think that's quite funny, that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I've got it now. Just looking back and seeing your missus just like. What the hell? Yeah. And we're carrying you out of there, trying to bundle you into a taxi. We're going out. Yeah, that's a good one. We'll save that for a little bit later on.
Yeah.
So you were saying about your friends that they were you were all quite close knit, and some of them wanted to join the army. Did they actually join the army?
Yeah, all of them did. So like one joined QRL, one became an engineer, one joined the Marines. It's the one that you'll know, and. Yeah, I think that's about it, really. So, I feel like I've missed someone, but no, it's good, mate. It's good.
It's what I find with sometimes talking about it. It just brings so many memories back. I was speaking to one of the other lads, and mate, some of the stuff he was reminding me of, and I was like, I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
I don't actually remember any of it. And then as he reminded me, I was just like, Jesus, I remember that, and it's quite cool. And it sort of made me fall back in love with the job again. Even not that I necessarily fell out of love with it. It was just more of a case of, I've had enough now. I need to go and do something different. I need to go and see if the grass is green on the other side, essentially.
Well, I agree with that, mate. I mean, it's like a double-edged sword in it, the military. Like, you love it, but you see all these like sparkly things on the outside, and you sort of almost go like, I want to go and experience that, you know. Or you see one of your mates earning like maxi cash, and you're like, I could do that. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
But you never know, do you, until you try.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't know if you're the same. Like, I don't miss the actual job. I just miss the lifestyle. I miss the lads. I miss the like, you know, been in the block and been around everyone all the time, just having a laugh, you know.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the hardest things to deal with, isn't it, when you leave? It's the case of when you move into a house by yourself.
Yeah.
It's more of a case of there's no one next door.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm bored. I'm going to go and kick so and so's door in and give him some some shit and go from there. And you sort of lose that. And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Is that something that you struggled with?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if you found the same, but I don't think COVID helped either. Cause,
oh, mate, that was mad.
Yeah, because you came out, or, you know, you come out, you're in this new world, you're trying to meet new people. They're definitely not on the same wave level in terms of like, you know, how you think, jokes, you know, the social life that you want and stuff. And then you throw on top, like, I've got to commute now, I've got to make my own food, I've got to like think about when I'm going to go to the gym and do all these things, and you're like, like, I don't know what to do. And then you just like, normally you'd have, I don't know if you found it the same, but normally, you know, it'd be like me coming to you, or you coming to me, going like, you come to the gym, or you coming there, or you know, we're doing this. But you've got that on 20, 30 people in you. You constantly got an invite something, or an open door somewhere to do something, even if you're just going to go around and chew the fat. And then, I found it hard in COVID. Like, suddenly I was just like, boom, like I'm on my own. Like, admittedly with the missus and the kids, but you don't get that same outlet. You know, you're just like stuck.
Sweet. For the people that are listening that don't know military slang, chewing the fat means talking, basically. That's the long story short of it, with the less swear words. So you described all your friends wanting to join the army. Before that, did you have any inkling that you wanted to be in the army or any type of forces before you met all your friends?
Yeah, I think so. So, like, when I was growing up, I did this bit. I joined the cadets.
What cadets?
Cadets.
Actually. Yeah, same. I did that one as well.
And to be fair, I was really obsessed on becoming a pilot. Like, that was like, when I was a kid, that was like my big thing. Like, I want to go fly, you know, fly fighter planes and stuff. And then, to be honest, what happened was, like, the Iraq War started, and I'd wake up every morning, like, put BBC News on or Sky News on, and just watch lads kick down doors, or you know, like driving around in their Warriors and doing all stuff. And I was like, that looks mint.
Yeah, I want to say that I'm sure I seen the same sort of stuff, and I'm sure that you remember the guy that was on top of the Warrior, and he had that petrol, like some type of petrol grenade thrown at him, and then there was that footage of him crawling at the top of it.
Oh, yeah,
that one, I'm sure I seen that, and I was like, no, that's real. That's not fake anymore, is it?
No.
You know, because sometimes when you look at the news, it's just on the news, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then when you see like that in front of you, like, oh god, especially when you're a bit younger as well. Maybe it was there to shock people into realising that it's actually a bit more serious over there than what it was. Yeah, what some people maybe thought it was.
Yeah, big one that sticks out in my mind, mate. And I don't know who was kidnapped. It might have been Staffords or, you know, or something like that. But like, I can remember when they like drove that Warrior into like a prison or a police station or something. That's right. Yeah. Like, I remember seeing that and just being like, wow. Like,
yeah, I think 22 SAS actually went in and saved him. I think. You know, don't quote me on that. And I think they just literally grabbed the Warrior and just went straight into the ball and dragged them out.
Absolutely.
Fair enough. Ballsy, right?
Yeah, 100%, mate. But stuff like that, like, I suppose most other people would be like, that's crazy. But like at the time, at like probably 15, 16, I was like, I want that.
Yeah.
Like,
I can imagine them all set up in a meeting and just be like, that sounds wild. And then some blade turns up and goes, who dares wins.
yeah.
That's like, fair enough. Yeah. Who's got the keys for that? Let's go. So joining the army. So how old was you when you joined?
17. I think. Yeah, 17.
17.
Yeah.
Did you do Harrogate?
No, I went to Winchester.
Winchester. So describe Winchester. What was that like?
It's good, mate. Do you know what, right? Honestly, I think basic training was wicked. Like, I honestly think it was one of the best like periods of like my army career.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. I love the routine. Just love the trauma bonding experience, I suppose.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, it's good, mate. Really good.
So talk me through it then. Talk me through for the day you got there. What was the first day like? I remember my first day like very well. I remember meeting my section commander, and it was just like rabbit in headlights, pretty much.
Yeah, same, mate. Like I remember going in. Like I don't know if you were the same, but obviously parents with you and they're dropping you off.
Yeah.
I remember going into like a little room, and then into a theatre thing where they gave like everyone a big lecture type thing with your parents, and then they disperse, and then reality kicks in pretty quick, doesn't it? After that,
Yeah.
Once
they go, oh, you want to get over there?
Yeah. Right, funny story actually, right? And I always remember this, but I remember after we'd been in that lecture theatre, we went to this room and like all the lads in there, you're all getting like the, 4-finger points and stuff, and like it's basically admin. It's like what's your mum's name, what's your dad's name, what's your emergency contact detail.
You're like, I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, I just remember this lad, mate. And he's like, right, what's your mum's name? He's like, Mom.
It's fair enough, though, isn't it? It's like you never call your mum anything but Mum.
It just went on, and I was like, it was the reaction, I think, of the section commander. Like, that then I realised, like, oh, this is the army, because it was like, no, what's your mum's name, mate? I know you call her Mum, but like, it started off quite pleasant, and then it was just like, press up. Like, do you know what I mean?
Give me 10.
Yeah.
Drop down, give me 10.
It was hilarious.
So what was it like getting your equipment then?
It was good, mate. I remember we were in tracksuits for a few days, so like given tracksuits for, I think almost immediately. Like then I think about 2 days later went to stores, typical stuff, big line, loads of kit on a old wooden type counter that we're all used to when you go there. Do the old like cages and stuff in the background. Grab your kit. I suppose you don't have that period of panic, don't you? Because I think they're the same, and I could be wrong here, but same day that you get shown like your locker layout, what it should look like, how kit should be put together.
Yeah.
And you get some long days then, don't you, trying to get it all right.
But it's a lot to take in for a 17-year-old, especially who's been mummy cuddles until that point.
Absolutely, yeah. But I don't know what it was, mate. I just enjoyed it. I don't know whether it was like because it was new, because it was a structure, because of the lads. I don't know, but yeah, it's really good fun. Like, I think the only bad time I had in basic training, as I remember, there was one lad who just really didn't want to be there, and he ended up going on to like suicide watch. Basically, he was really like down in the dumps, and he hadn't done his 28 days. And I think it was about a period of 2 or 3 days where that was a bit not rough, but it was a bit weird because
what did they call that period?
DOAR or something.
Yeah, discharge as of right or something like that.
Yeah,
because we had it because I went to Harrogate. We had your mom or dad whoever signed the paperwork could withdraw the signature straight away.
Oh, really?
So then even if you wanted to be in and they withdrew it, you'd be gone because you're there not on adults' consent. Would that not have been the same for you because you weren't 18?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so. Maybe it was. I'm not sure, but. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's mad. It's bad to think about, isn't it? So you imagine if you're loving it and then your parents come and take the signature away, you'd be good.
It's crazy. It's like imagine if you'd just done like 6 months as well, Harrogate.
Yeah.
Like all that graft, and they were just like, nah, not fancying this.
Bloody hell. Yeah. So sorry, we digress. So there was a lad there, and he was not having the best of time.
No. I mean, like he just caused a bit of I don't know. It just caused a bit of a low mood, bit of a weird thing. But other than that, mate, training was good. Like I can remember. Like drill was funny because it was we were just all crap at it. Obviously, like
TikToking everywhere,
TikToking and that, mate. Yeah, I remember like obviously getting our hands on, on the SE80 for the first time, doing the lessons. That was, it's good fun, wasn't it? Really, because you just never, you never done all that. Battlefield Tour de France sticks out in my mind because that was a bit of a laugh.
Which one? Which is that? Is this the one where we go to France? Yeah. So when you mentioned about getting the rifle for the first time, I've got this vivid memory of someone holding it backwards. and it with the butt this way and the barrel that way, and they're like holding it like this. They're like, oh, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a mad memory. But yeah, sorry, go on.
Brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, how did you feel when you first picked up a rifle? Was you like, oh god, this is real, more real than what it was getting you at what we call 1157? All these things are coming back to me now. You're making me remind stuff,
mate. Honestly, I couldn't honestly tell you. Like, it doesn't stick out in my mind as like, I'm scared, worried, excited, anything like that. I think I was just more like a kid in a candy shop type of thing, where like,
it's cool.
I just it's like, oh, this is cool. Like, I want to play with it, type of stuff. And
I remember a great sense of proudness for some reason. I don't know what it was. It's just I was just really proud. I was like, oh, I'm being trusted with this.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
Like, that's what it felt like. It was really weird, especially being 16 as well.
Yeah,
and then having a bang bang stick in my hand, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's really good. Yeah. So you went to? Did you do any? Because different companies within the training establishment, they go at different times, don't they? Or is it one of these where everyone went at the same time?
No,
I'm sure they did it company by company, didn't they?
Yeah.
So did you go on any exercises before that, or was you just go straight into a battlefield tour? Because how long's your training?
14 weeks.
14 weeks. It's a very fast turnaround for you guys. Then.
Yeah. So I remember. I mean, I could get the number wrong, but I remember like within the first 2 weeks, we'd done like a single nighter. I had to put a poncho up. I had to sleep outside. I had to. I had to stag on, basically.
Billy basics,
yeah. And that battlefield tour, it must have been sort of week 9, week 10. So it was quite late on in, the training period.
Yeah.
And then I think final X was only about a week long, so it wasn't massive. Considering some of the exercises that we've done since.
Yeah.
And you feel, I think at the time, you feel like, Jesus, a week, that's forever.
It is, yeah. But did you find it hard? Did you find the exercises hard, or did you just take it in your stride and you just lapping it up, loving life?
Honestly, mate. Like, I generally enjoyed all of it. Like, I thought, I think it was all because it was new. It was all like new experience, and because I wanted to be there and I enjoyed it. Like, it was good fun. Like, obviously, it was stuff that even towards the back end of the career that was rubbish. Like when you're wet, you're hungry, you've had enough. But it's never a massive drama, is it? It was never a huge problem, I don't think.
It's just exercise, wasn't it?
Just exercise,
And I felt they did get a bit mundane, but then you had to sort of go, there's a reason why we're doing this. And that's because the new lads coming in haven't got a Danny, so they need to be taught what we know to pass it on.
Yeah.
Is there anything on exercise that in training that you would ever... that sticks out in your mind, like someone messing up, or some part of the exercise? Did you ever do like a respirator extraction?
Oh yeah,
no, that is something to talk about.
That's a story, mate. Yeah,
Go on.
Yeah, I remember like that sticks out vividly, mate. Usual stuff, mate. In harbour, trolley grenades going off, fake grenades going off everywhere.
Yeah,
smoke grenades going off everywhere. Everyone's in blind panic. No one's got a clue what's going on. It must be 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then some section commanders like, stick your respirator on. It's a gas attack.
Yeah.
And life becomes pretty difficult, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So like, I can remember packing up the kit was graft. Because you don't put it way properly, do you? Just it gets stuffed in, and at that point in your career, you ain't got a clue how stuff should go in anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why it's important to know where all your stuff's going, and have really tied down. I think
big time. And then I just remember running, mate. I just remember this massive field that must have been like 2-3 miles long. That's what it felt like anyway.
It's probably like 300 meters.
Yeah. And I just remember like full kit, Bergen on, just running. Running, and like there's that horrible feeling of like I can't breathe, like there's sweat everywhere and they're all over your face. Like your Bergen's not packed properly, your kit's not on properly, like, you've got stuff everywhere. There's blokes almost dying around you, and they're like, like it's almost like you see them like the World War II beaches, like if lads going on. That's almost how I imagine it in my mind, but like nowhere near as dramatic. Just, and it's just it's just rats. It's just pure rats.
Yeah. How did you find gas chamber?
All right. I wasn't that sort of bad. I think I got my dad to thanked for that, because he'd got, he'd done quite a bit of that in his career. And I think he sort of like hyped it up to the point of where like, well, he was giving me banter about it, like making it sound like I was gonna, pass out. So I'd almost got this mentality like, no matter what happens, like,
So he sort of psychologically prepared you for it. Pretty much.
Big time. Yeah, big time. It was almost like, no matter what happens, I can't go back to my old man and go like, oh yeah, I cried my eyes out or something,
Yeah.
But it's still horrible, isn't it? Like,
Yeah,
it's still horrible. I remember just coming out, mate, first time. Everyone's throwing up everywhere. Your eyes are streaming. Your face is burning. Everyone's screaming, "Don't touch your face! Don't touch your face!" But you've got nothing. There's just a massive desire to touch your face, isn't there?
You're just a ball of snot and slobber, aren't you?
Yeah.
And just tears running down your face.
Yeah.
I remember there was a lad that was almost immune to it. Like he had a really good fight against it. And I remember the DS they put him in there and they held him in there for ages, and he was just fighting it, and he did really well. Bless him. Honestly, I couldn't believe it, because I was second man in, or like second troop in, because I was two troops and one troop, one section, sorry, and I was second section. They went in first. It was like they've never seen it before, so they didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And I think I was scared, because when I went in, I knew what it was going to be like to come out. So I was shitting it when I went in there.
Yeah.
And then it turned out it wasn't as bad as what you played up in your mind to be, is it?
No, not really. Like, it's definitely not like anything to worry about, is it? If if there's anyone, you're going to speak to someone and they were like, I'm really concerned about this particular thing.
Yeah.
It's enjoy the experience in it. That's what it is. Enjoy it. It's fun. And I know we're talking about basic training, but obviously remember when we were doing it at Reg, and it generally becomes a bit of a game, doesn't it? Then it goes from this horrifying experience to being like an actual game, which is just bonkers.
Who can stay in the longest?
Yeah. So
I got some fond memories of the chamber in the regiment, of people just doing a man test, just staying in there for as long as they can, and then watching people slowly sink into the ground like,
yeah, big time.
Right, you got to get out now. No. Crawling around. I've never seen people crawling out, and I'm sure it was Gallagher. He was he was a mad one for it, wasn't he? And Gary. If you're still listening, thank you. If you're personally struggling or know someone that is, Head Up is a non-profit organisation for the UK Armed Forces charity. Their mission is to stem the suicide rate and improve the quality of lives within the Armed Forces community. They do this by educating and encouraging individuals to implement positive mindset methods into their daily routine, giving a deeper understanding and awareness of subjects such as nutrition, physical activity, sleep, breathing techniques, and much, much more. They also conduct one-on-one help alongside wellness presentations, days, fairs, and events, as well as mini retreats. They are currently developing a 7-day residential retreat. Head Up requires no medical evaluation or doctor's notes. They are here to help everyone, no matter what their mindset. Everything they do is completely free of charge. Anyone who has served or is still serving within the Army, the Royal Air Force, the Royal Navy, and the Royal Marines, including all reservists, are entitled to benefit from their services. If this isn't worth supporting, I don't know what is. If you would like to know more information about this, you can find the link in the bio. And hopefully he comes on soon, Gary. He said he would, so hopefully we'll get to have a chat with him.
Nice.
So moving on from the chamber, so is there anything in basic that really stands out for you that is really embedded in your memory?
The job bayonet training obviously sticks out.
Yeah. Come on, let's divulge into bayonet training.
Yeah, so that is again, that's a bit of an adventure in it. So I can't remember whether we'd just been on exercise, we hadn't been on it, or it was like a day or two after we'd been on exercise. And I always remember like it being really weird, because you got the programmes on the wall, haven't you, which tell you what you're doing, when you're doing it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And always, for X amount of weeks, there'd always been this blank space on the programme, and no one really knew what it was. We got back from exercise and they were like, yeah, just spend the time doing admin. the only thing we had on the programme was PT, really early on in the morning, like really early on, 6:30 or something, unusual basically. And then that was it. Like, we got down there, PT, got absolutely annihilated, absolutely thrashed. Like, I can remember we were on a big field, and the back of the field had this sort of like incline, only about 5-6 metres, but they're old like chain link fences, aren't they, with concrete posts.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, I remember the one thing that was driving me mad. It was like, run up, touch the concrete post on one, run back down here, run up to the next one. But they're like 3-4 metres apart in there, and it went on for ages. And then finished PT, and that's when you knew you were doing bayonet training, because then it was like, it was carnage. Blokes shouting at you everywhere. You've got to go and do this. You've got to go and do that. Just getting thrashed, aren't you? Like, absolutely annihilated. I can't really remember what happened and then in that period. And then I just remember, like, obviously been on the field. You go through the bayonet lesson, and then you just get thrashed again. It's like another hour or two of getting thrashed, and then eventually you get around to stabbing some sandbags, don't you?
Yeah, literally like that. Yeah.
And I don't know. It's just a weird feeling, because I can remember it, but like I can't really remember how I felt or stuff. I think I know now. Obviously, the idea is to get you so worked up and angry, and really get that aggression out when you when you're attacking the sandbags and go through the motions. But like, I can't really remember that. The one thing I can really remember was, like, at the end of it, I'd obviously got my ID card in my pocket, and my troop leader at the time, or whatever he was, platoon leader at the time, like right at the very end, was like, "Oh, this fell out." And I was like, flipping out, like he's going to bounce me here, because but he was like, "No." He was like, "Oh, cool, cheers." Yeah. Good fun though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, bayonet training, good fun. Like, I think that's one of the many things, but one of the big things that really bonds you with, like, everyone else that you're around, and also with everyone else that you join, because that is a commonality in it across the military, and an experience in itself. And I think
it's quite a sombering moment, I think, fixing bayonets. Like, just doing it in training, that it's just like, fix bayonets, you're like, oh, I've got to be really close to someone to do this. Yeah. And it sort of, there's a lot of realisation for that, isn't there? I remember doing the training, absolutely loved it. And that's a story within itself. What happened to us in Harrogate? The long and short of it, I'll save this story for another time. The actual deep end of the story. Our instructor decided to come and ambush us in the morning, because we were first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And he walked into the room next to us. We had an inkling that we was in, might be new bayonet training, because we noticed that the platoons that were getting ambushed after like a certain thing.
Right.
So like come back off the range and bam, straight into bayonet training. Yeah. They get caught out that way. And this guy, he went into the wrong room and shouted, "Everyone get out of your beds, this is bayonet training." And we all woke up the next room like, Jesus, what's going on in there? And then we heard him shout, this is 11 platoon, right? And we were like, no, this is 12. And we were like, oh crap, let's get up quick. And then we sort of beat him halfway there to get ready. Yeah, it's quite interesting, but yeah, we'll divulge into that some other time. Well, yeah, it's good. So bayonet training was probably one of those for you that is biggest. I think it's probably up there for the biggest ones, a biggest memory for everyone, I think. I think it's one of them, I think it can make or break it. And I'm adamant that some people have a breakdown during it. And that, I remember watching two or three lads get pulled away and then brought back in to calm down, because they just went over the top and just their emotions got more, not necessarily crying, just going absolutely schizo and just like not being able to come back down. Because if you get, I'm sure, I've never actually taught people bayonet training, but I'm sure if they get to a certain level, they have to take them out and bring them back in, because obviously you've still got to be able to control it, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what it is, it's controlled aggression.
That's it, yeah. I
remember it all. Show me your face.
Yeah. What makes the grass grow?
blood. Yeah, it's good.
I just, honestly, man, like, I don't know, like, I can't remember that period of, like, actually, I can remember getting there. I can remember everything that happened.
Yeah.
I can remember towards the end of it. I couldn't tell you actually what happened between you know, like probably an hour or however long we were actually doing it for.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether that was because I was zoned out in the zone
Mm.
or like, you know, whatever, but you know, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's a weird one. But yeah, it's a big experience, isn't it? I've got to say, like, I think the three biggest things really from basic that stick out is in like decent memories. Have got to be like gas chamber bayonet training and you pass out braid. Like, nothing better, really.
Yeah. So I'm just turning your the sound up on your mic. I think
Alright.
yours not speaking as loud as I. So yeah. So take it out of training. So you went to regiment. What was your first day at regiment like? And did you do satisfied soldier in between?
I did.
It's just a thought. I remembered that I did it as well.
I did do satisfied soldier. That was a farce, wasn't it? Yeah. So obviously went bovvy, finished bovvy, then did satisfied soldier after Bovington. That was alright. That was. Do you know what, mate? I have to be honest. Like, you felt like $1 million. I think when I did satisfied soldier.
Mm.
You know, come out of training, you got your kit on. You know, you're driving around your local town, like, you know, looking all alley and thinking you're the bee's knees. I enjoyed that. To be fair, didn't do anything. I was actually with one of the 3 bars that came on tour with us in Herrick 8. He was at the recruiting office at the time.
Okay.
So that was even better because he was probably one of the first like real people I've met from the regiment. To be fair,
Yeah.
and he was a top bloke as well. But yeah, mate. Like then tipped up at Reg. I remember we allowed to say names on this, or not?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just don't give him the second name until we'll probably see him, and then.
Got you. Right. So I remember JC.
Yeah.
Was
yeah.
was like acting court major or something.
Yeah.
I don't know where. I can't even, who was called. I can't even remember who court major or something we joined. But anyway, so I remember getting into the guard room, getting my pass in that, and I was told specifically like not to tip up in kit. You know, come in civvies.
So this is at regiment.
This is at regiment. Yeah.
Yeah. I just you did correct me and correct me well. We're missing phase 2, aren't we?
Yeah. Nothing special to talk about, is there?
But do you not want to talk about what it was like to drive to go and get your track license at 17?
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it? It's like well, you can only have a driving license until you're like 18, like just a car one, and then we were like driving tracks around, but the other lads were driving challies around at 17, weren't they?
Yeah.
That must have been mad for them.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking it was mad for us.
Yeah.
Just driving miniature recce tanks around, and then seeing the other lads drive challies around as well.
Yeah.
Especially at such a young age.
No, it was good fun, wasn't it? To be fair, like to be honest, like I'm not like the mechanical side of things. Has never been my like interest or my strong point. So like even I enjoyed that part of it. Like I really enjoyed the driving. I didn't really enjoy the first part of that course where you're just stuck in the classroom like messing with air filters and stuff.
Right, yeah. So the actual, because it's D&M, isn't it? Driving and maintenance.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I thought we would have.
Yeah, it's not meathead. That's why I was like, engine, working parts, sniffing fuel all week. So why didn't you enjoy it? Is it just not something that tickled your nipples, or?
Yeah, like honestly, like driving, like the actual driving stuff, loved it. But for me, like I'm just not bothered about like the maintenance side of it. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't interest me that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And I just hate coveralls. Like, hate coveralls.
Don't you wear coveralls and gunnery?
No, not anymore.
No, gunnery's funnery.
Long gone. Yeah, I'd have never gone and become an instructor in that, mate.
That's fair enough, yeah. So you didn't like the driving and maintenance side of it. The maintenance side of it. You enjoyed the driving. Yeah. Did you have any problems on your driving licence? Because they actually throw you into the driving licence quite quickly, don't they? So it's pretty much land and just literally...
I'd already got my car licence when I joined, so I was all right, basically. Yeah. So for me, it was like straight into D&M, no issues. And I wasn't in training like in phase 2 that long, really. Just I think I did SIGs first.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. So I did that first. I think that was about 3 weeks. That was all right with it. It was nothing special, but it was enjoyable. Then did D&M. D&M was the best part in it, to be fair. Like, you know, and then you do that like 2 weeks, or is that like military? I don't know if you did it, but like it's like a military training exercisey thing.
Oh, it was It was basically. I'm sure it was like a maths. It was like a week of maths, wasn't it? So you were qualified when you pretty much got to regiment.
Yeah.
So you could then just get into the same cycle as them, and it saved them having to then train you, because I'm sure you had to do these maths, and it was if you wasn't in date for it, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't deploy or anything like that. That was very important.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I remember one of their exercises, and it weren't the best, but it was something. But I suppose you don't really know. Like I suppose you got to not compare it to what you've done after, because at the time it was like, and now I'm saying it, I'm like, oh, it was like a hard exercise as such.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's mad. Is there anything that pops out into your mind about that exercise? And I'm adamant did it get fob based, or was it after?
No, I'm sure it got fob based when we started doing like JCCs and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just in that. You remember that like training wing building?
Down the bottom.
Yeah. That was where it was for us. And maybe they did. Maybe they were using it as a fob. To be fair, maybe that's what the idea was. But nothing sticks out of me. I just remember that crazy Welsh bloke, that instructor, that crazy lunatic who just like you'd be in like random lessons learning about anything, and he'd just like randomly walk in and throw like a Charlie grenade in the classroom, and everyone would be like, "What do you want me to do?" Like, it's just an absolute lunatic.
Oh, bloody hell!
Yeah.
So, anything else that you can think of?
Nah, mate.
No. So you did your driving and maintenance, which you wasn't a fan of, except for the driving. Your signals. What else do we do down there?
I think, yeah.
I'm sure there'll be someone screaming at the phone while watching this. So how can you forget something?
Sure, that's it.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to think what I did. So I did driving license, signals. I remember I wasn't a fan of that, and then the driving and maintenance, which I enjoyed. Well, I'm sure there was something else. Anyway, let's move on. So you finished that. We can always come back to it anyway. So you finished that, and then you went to regiment.
Yeah.
And then this is where you did Satisfied Soldier.
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yeah.
How did you find Satisfied Soldier?
It's all right, mate. Didn't do nothing apart from like mince around, basically. From what I can remember, just minced around Burton, spoke to a few people that come in the careers office, and chewed the fat. And if I'm honest, mate, I was barely ever there. I probably did about 3 hours a day. Like I'd get there at like 9:30, something like that, and a few hours later, like the staff just like go home. Yeah,
they want you there to talk to the recruits that they have the interviews with, don't they? So I remember when I did it, we used to go in there. Well, it was just me that time. Wolverhampton. You go and basically chew the fat with people. Oh yeah, training's great.
Yeah,
training's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it, isn't it, for Sat Soldier? So getting to the regiment then, first day. So we're back to where we was then.
First day, mate. So this is a funny story, and this is JC written all over, right? And this is just so. Obviously, with our reg, we and this was a thing all the time, wasn't it? You shouldn't leave camp in uniform, because of the particular people that are in the regiment at the time. So I was specifically told, do not tip up in uniform. You've got to tip up in civvies. Tipped up in civvies, guard room, got the stuff, blah blah blah. Told I was in D squadron, got up to the court major's office. No idea where I was going. Stumbled my way up there, found it. JC's there. Now at the time, you could smoke in the in the rooms and in the offices and stuff. So JC's there, sitting at the court major's desk. He's got a bind on. Bang my tabs in, and he's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, Robbo, blah blah blah. Just come from training, yeah. Like, why aren't you in uniform? I was told not to tip up in uniform, and he was like, ah.
Just went off at you.
Yeah, just went off at me. He was like, "Come back in uniform." Like, I've got no room, nothing, mate. So I basically had to get changed in uniform in the car, like from my stuff out of my bags in the car. None of it's ironed. Looked like a bag of crap. Back rock up to JC. JC probably can't remember this. JC's like, "You look a bag of shit. Like, why aren't you on your kit?" Bah!
Yeah.
For God's sake, it's endless. So like that was probably like my first 3 hours of reg was like basically just getting chewed out by JC for thinking I was doing the right thing but not.
Yeah.
Then I got a room in the old block, the big 8-man rooms, like me, Reedy, there's only about 3 or 4 of us in there. And yeah, that was it. Then you're in it, ain't you then?
So was you in the multi-man room blocks?
Yeah, so you remember the ones behind the guard room?
Yeah, I do. That's now a Parade Square / Logan Square, isn't it?
That's it.
So I mean, I'm just trying to put this. When did you get there? Because I'm adamant I was the first one there.
Yeah, you were there already. I got there in August.
So there must have been no slam rooms left for you.
No, there wasn't. It was all, I think, like August 2007. I think.
Yeah, I got there in February, I think, or January, straight after. Because D Squadron come back from Herrick 6. Their first day back was my first day. Damn.
Yeah, but
yeah, that was quite scary for me.
Yeah, I bet.
I remember.
Yeah, and yeah.
So how long were you in the H blocks for? Because it's the stuff I don't remember. I just remember us all being in the slams, Z-type, whatever you want to call it.
Only about 8 weeks, mate. It wasn't long.
Was it?
I don't know whose room I got, but yeah, well, I suppose I wouldn't know, would I? But
No.
Yeah, it's only about 8 weeks, and then we got that room next to George. I was thinking George one side. I can't remember. But I got a brownie, biscuits.
Biscuits, brownie,
Jace, Keno.
Yeah.
Fucking lunatic. It's a good corridor, mate. It's good fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, I can imagine. It being good fun.
Yeah.
So I always remember the slam being really good fun as well.
It's wicked, mate.
It was like an open door thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You'd walk past rooms and people would be bolloco.
Yeah.
And he was just like, you may as well not have had doors.
No.
But everyone, it's just the army mentality, isn't it? It's just like open door kind of thing.
It was wicked, mate, wasn't it? It was wicked. Like, I remember, even there's the stuff we used to do. I remember, we used to have, Call of Duty. Like, we'd all play Call of Duty, wouldn't we? And you'd have cables all over the corridor, because because we'd never had internet, did we, in the block at that time? Everyone playing Call of Duty, or, like, everyone getting, pissed up in that... whatever that room was, like the lounge.
The common room. That's it. Yeah. So you had like a kitchen and like a communal room. That's what it's short for. And I remember yours being quite kitted out. Yours was very communal. Your corridor.
I can't remember.
Yeah. Didn't you have like a bar in yours? Did you have a bar in yours, or was it a fridge at the corner that had beers in? No,
not in that bit. When I moved into Slam the second time, when I was with like Neil and Co, that was a bit. We've got a bit of stuff in there, so we've got telly and stuff. But in that one, that first one, I don't think we had much in there, to be fair. It's all right though. It was good. I enjoyed it, mate. It's good fun with it because, I mean, you got, like, I remember, obviously you were there. And then you've got all the lads come from Knightsbridge. So you got like Jace, Coops. Probably even Reedy as well, all came like roughly at the same time, or a few weeks, I think, before I joined.
Yeah.
Then you've got like all your generation of lads come through, because Endos must have come through when you came as well.
So he actually, I believe, is the generation above me, with Selbs, but because they come over from Knightsbridge after me, I sort of was enveloped into that.
Yeah.
Because Knightsbridge was Knightsbridge to the armoured side, wasn't it? It was like, well, it doesn't really matter. So with your general day-to-day life in the regiment, Household Cavalry, explain your day-to-day.
I suppose it was very varied. If we looked at a typical day, I suppose it would be, we'd have first parade, PT, 8 o'clock. But and if I drill down even further, I mean, like, there was initially, obviously, we'd have breakfast. Been a smoker at the time. You'd have a communal bifter, standard before any PT session, wouldn't you? We'd do that. PT, whatever that might be. That was an hour and a half. then we'd have a shower and stuff and do whatever. And then, you know what, I look back and think, Mark, we must have never done any work in the mornings, thinking about it. Or very little, because, we'd be in the naffy at like 10, half 10, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
And we'd probably in there for half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then, back down the tank park, because, even though, again, like sometimes we might not have been doing much, but that's where we would have been, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Till, I don't know what time lunch was now, 12, half 12. Then we'd disappear again for an hour, wouldn't we, till like, come back down at half 1 o'clock. Mess about with whatever we were doing, changing air filters or
something that you didn't like.
Cleaning something, sweeping something, cleaning something, changing something. And then like, I think if we looked at a typical day, we probably knocked off about 3:30. I reckon. Obviously we had to work quite hard, didn't we? Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
but I think if I was gonna summarise it in a typical day, unless we were doing anything specific, exercise, post-exercise,
So let's dissect it a bit then. So PT, how did you find PT?
It's all right. Yeah, like I was never like a whippersnapper. I was never like dead quick or or super fit, but don't think
still fit though. Mate, so some of that fizz that we used to do, like with everyone in the army, you have to be some level of fit. I think just a lot of people compare themselves to the whippersnappers, the fast people. Yeah. But I think some people need to understand that the whippersnappers, they are fit, but the people who aren't fit are still fit. But then, don't get me wrong, there is that plethora of people that are just like, that you need to do something about that fitness, dude.
Yeah, big time.
And it's quite weird because you're like, well, you're doing phys every day. How are you not getting fit?
Yeah, it is unusual when you think about it.
Yeah,
to be fair.
Like I've never actually thought about it until then. I was just like, well, you're doing phys with us, so how are you not getting that fit?
Yeah, it's a good point, mate. I'm a lot bigger now than what I was then. But like, I remember probably maybe even January, mate. Getting out like it's New Year, best go out for a run type of guilt, and going out for 3 miles, mate, and like dying. I literally feel like I'm dying. But we used to go back out 8 mile runs. What was the that shit run? That must have been
6 miles. That was 6 mile run, 6 mile sprint.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? But
you
do that and you come back, and after about 2 minutes, I'd be there like smoking a fag on the steps during the fight. Like, it wouldn't bother you. Like, and even though I was never like you say, like I wasn't the fastest, I was never going to be at the front. I was just an average thing. But yeah, when you compare it back and you think, actually, if everyone else is just like, doing a 3 mile run dying, like I don't know many people. Well, I mean, put it this way: how many people used to get absolutely smashed on a Thursday night and then do some of the PT that we do on Friday? So
that is mad. Like, I remember going out pretty much every night, and we was all out every single night. Except for Monday, because nowhere was open. It was all good, so we all got drunk in the block instead. And then turning up to PT the next day, and then actually smashing PT out the park. And then carrying on with our working day. And then no sooner had the day finished, we were back drinking again.
Yeah.
And that's bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, you've got to have a certain level of fitness to be able to do that anyway. And I suppose that's where some people these days go wrong. That they have a couple of beers and then they're wrote off for the next week. Because I think a majority of it is mentality. If you're around the right people, like we were, and if anyone had, I remember having I'm not coming out tonight, and I remember literally my door get kicked in straight off the hinges.
Yeah,
and I suggest you get your ass out now, and you're like, I can't be bothered, and they're throwing your clothes at you to put it on. I can't afford it. There's no excuse because everyone will just buy you a beer, and because there was like 15 blokes going out, it's 15 beers, and that's enough within itself, isn't it?
I was just about to say the same thing, mate. I remember excuse me, even the days you didn't want to go out, it just wasn't worth saying no, was it?
No,
it just literally was not worth saying no.
Yeah. That bonded everyone together, didn't it?
Yeah.
That just made that bond even more special. It's like when you called me this morning, it felt like I was with you yesterday.
Yeah.
Just hearing your voice on the phone. Yeah. Just like, oh. Yeah. And I suppose all them memories come back of the friendship that everyone has, and it's just like, well, yeah, all right, we haven't spoken properly for years, but we've still got that bond together and that experience of, the army, and that when you go hello, it's like bloody hell. It only feels like yesterday I was speaking to you.
That's the best thing, mate. It's the best thing. Like, I mean, like, you're so right in it. Like, I reckon I could ring up 80% of the people, especially like our Hurricane group, like 80% of the people, and ask for a favour of whatever it might be, and they would do it, even if I've not spoke to them for years, and vice versa. You know, like, I don't know what it is. It's unique, isn't it? Because you generally do feel like you were just with them yesterday.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, it's weird, but and I'll tell you what I always found weird as well, mate. Like when I was growing up, like I remember taking a mate, my best mate, on holiday with me. Right, only went out to my nan's house in Spain, but oh mate, after about 3 days, I was Fredders. I'd had enough of him, mate. Wanted to kill him. Like, you know, and he'd been my best mate for years, right? But I just couldn't live with him. Do you know what I mean? I couldn't be with him constantly, 24 hours a day.
Does he know that?
Nah.
Oh, I best not put it out then.
No, put it out there, mate. He won't know who it is. To be fair, he probably realised anyway. But in the army, you never got that.
Yeah.
You never ever once go like, you know, obviously like some people might do your edit, but I've never found it like, ever like, oh, you're a knob. Or don't want to spend time with you.
Yeah. Well, there is people like that, but you would find that you was never with them anyway. Because I'm just trying to bring an example in here. So I always found everyone in my troop I loved, and I think if you didn't like them, you grew to love them because they were there.
Yeah.
They were there. So I had I like to think I've got a really good way of doing this, and you've got to grow to like someone if you're going to be put with them all the time.
Yeah.
So instead of picking out their negatives, pick out their positives and work on that, and then just let them roll with their negatives. And I do that with people now. There's people I work with. There's one lad, he's so military still to this day, and he got out probably in the 70s. It's a joke. He'll probably watch this and he'll know exactly what I'm on about. So he got out in the 90s or something like that, or not long ago anyway. Well, whatever I'm trying to say. And he kept reminding me of the military, and because I got out of the military, I wanted to get away from it, and I didn't like him at first, and then I grew to like him because of all of his other strengths. Yeah. And I think that's the best way. That if you ever work with someone that is not the best person for you, but you can see the positives in them, if you start focusing on the positives, you'll end up liking them. Yeah. Because whatever the negatives are, you'll just put them on the back burner and focus on their positives. And I think that if people start doing that with a lot of people they work with, I think their work environment will be really, really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, mate.
A bit long-winded for me to get there, but...
Yeah, no, I agree, mate. I mean, you see that now, I think... Well, I certainly see that now in my current job, working in an office. You see, specifically when I came into this job, that, like, certain people had got branded, tarnished with a brush of lazy, useless, not very good, bad attitude and stuff. But... I've never had any problems with them, because I think if you just look at them in a different way, and you just treat them slightly differently, they're good at their job. You just go, I don't know. Yeah, open-minded, innit? Yeah,
no. So where was we? So you, friend on holiday. Yeah. And we were talking about going out and saying no to, not saying no to people coming and getting you. Yeah. So so we're talking about general day-to-day life, going out drinking with the lads and forming that bond. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Castle Martin, mate.
Oh, bloody hell.
I cannot do something like this. Not talk about Castle
Martin. Then, Castle Martin. So for the people that are watching and don't know what Castle Martin is a training camp in Wales. And this is where the vast majority of the army go to, especially being armoured, to go and do ranges, whether it be dismounted and mounted and combined. So there'll be dismounts and mounted, and what'll be mounted is people in tanks or an armoured vehicle firing over the top of them. And this is where it all, like the culmination of training comes together, doesn't it? Yeah. Ready for pre-deployment training. So let's go into it. Let's talk about your first Castle Martin. Is it your first Castle Martin you're going to talk about, or
we can talk about any, mate? They're all good, didn't they?
They're all end up being the same. Yeah. Just people drunk and then obviously going on the ranges as well. Not drunk, obviously.
Yeah.
But But on the weekends when you go out and have a hell of a time, it's mad, isn't it? Because you're dry there, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's the weekend. And
then... that's it. Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it was great. Like, some of the experiences we had there. I don't know what it is. It's almost like even though you're only in Wales, it's like you're so far away from everything.
Yeah.
You're almost like, and it's almost accepted. It's like, this is where you're going to let your hair down, isn't it? God, mate, I remember the story, like, first Castle Martin. I actually remember Puckett, he broke his leg, Smudge broke his leg.
Yeah.
I'm sure Smudge will listen to this, will be on this. Well done, Smudge.
Yeah.
And then I was sleeping in the little bottom, like, we weren't even in that first one, I wasn't even up in, like, the normal blocks that we were always in.
They were like, were there H blocks at the top?
God,
I'm sure there were H blocks, weren't they?
Yeah. I was in a little porter cabin the first time I went, and, like, Dad's getting rat-arsed and just, like, pissing everywhere. It was brutal. But I tell you what, mate, there's probably the two Castle Martins, actually, that particularly stick out. There was that one where, you remember Blue Mountain State?
Yes.
Right.
What a programme.
Yeah.
So the the main actor of that is now acting. He's doing
It's like Reacher and stuff, isn't it?
Reach, yeah. What a legend, mate.
Top, like.
He's up there for one of the best actors that I could ever think of.
100%.
I can't even remember his name now. That's how good he is to me.
Yeah. I'll just tell you what, one thing, if anyone takes anything away from this, watch Blue Mountain State.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, that literally inspired a weekend of carnage, didn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, absolutely.
I'd love to meet him.
Carnage.
I'd love to meet him.
Yeah. I mean, what a weekend that was. I can't even explain it, mate. Like, I mean, we have our usual shower experiences, didn't we? Which were great.
Yeah.
I remember, like, beer pong. I remember being chased around the block naked. I remember Gaz Ross sticking a flipping chili at my arse. You did something as well.
We played. Well, what didn't I do? That's the question, isn't it? I know we definitely played. Remember playing? Was it naked poker or naked beer pong?
Yeah.
And it was Troop v Troop. It was me, Gaz versus Wazza and Coops.
Yeah.
and me and Gaz beat them, and them two had to get naked out the window because it was just awkward. Right, we're still recording. Sweet. So where was we? A bit of a sound issue then. Naked Castle. So it was Castle Martin, and we were doing naked beer pong. There we go. So and then so the lads, they lost, so they had to strip naked, and then run around the block, the whole H block, and it's quite a way around, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the way to get out was through the window because it was awkward.
Yeah.
And it was very demasculating, as I would call it. You had to dive out the window. And I was annoyed because I wanted to do it. I really wanted to do it. So I was like, screw this. So I got naked as well. And I remember chasing the two lads out.
Yeah.
And I chased them out and jumped on them outside the window, and then I spent the whole time chasing the pair around, jumping on them naked, and then got back. Then that was a whole different story there as well. Who stole whose clothes? I'm sure Gaz Ross stole their clothes, didn't they?
I'm sure it was Gaz. Yeah.
Yeah, Gaz.
Gaz wasn't. I don't think Gaz was there playing beer pong, was he? But he was outside or something, or he was coming past at the right time.
Or maybe it wasn't him then. Yeah,
no,
I'm sure he was. I'm sure he was with me.
Oh, was he?
I'm sure he was doing the beer pong with me.
Oh, maybe it was then. I can't remember. But I can just remember Gaz, like, doing like 100-yard dash with actually, like, was it chili sauce or actual chilies or something? Like, when it went on, and like, obviously you were chasing them round, and then Gaz was just like, "There's an opportunity here. I'm going for it," and it was genius.
Because the chilies was ghost chili, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was. Do you remember? Was you there when we me, him, Wazza did the ghost chili on the back of the coach? So before we'd even set off, Gaz nudged me and went. He nudged me and he went, "Hey, Bundy, look what I've got." Like, it's a ghost chili. What the fuck's a ghost chili, mate? And he was like, "Eat this," and I was like, "No, I'm not having it." not doing it because I knew what he was like. I knew that he would have set me up. And he ate. We took we had a little bit, and the tiny bit I had, I was in clip.
Yeah.
And then he was at the back, and he was like, "Do I do it?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Should I just eat the whole one?" He says, I can't go around," and he used to call it Schnangle Dangle. Do you remember that? Schnangle Dangle, people. He says, "I can't go around Schnangle Dangle if we haven't tried it." So that's when I tried it, and I was wrote off. And he ate. And bear in mind, we hadn't even left camp yet, and we were on the back of the coach waiting to go out, and we didn't prepare for this. There was no water, no milk, no nothing. And he ate this whole chili, this whole ghost chili, just like, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, oh, well, it's not that bad." And then he was like, "Oh my God, oh my God." And then he was snot coming from his mouth, tears, everything. And then he tried to get off the coach to go and swill his mouth out. And the coach went, "Nah, sorry, we're off." And we spent the whole journey from Windsor to this service station. It was the best part of 3 hours. 3 hours.
Cardiff, isn't it?
And he, I remember getting off, and he was still in clip at this point, and he got off and he ran straight to the freezer thing they had, stuck his head in the freezer, sucking the cold air in, finding an ice lol, and he'd ate the ice lol before he even paid for it. And then I remember that Castle Martin, we spent the whole time rimming cups of chili and stuff like that. And we put it. Do you remember that little box of salsa that they used to have at the bottom, at the end of the till? Used to go through. Used to get you like your rollover or whatever it was, and then there was like a little salsa for your burger at the end.
Yeah.
And I remember we broke a big chili in that, mate, and we were sat there all night watching like that. We just got a beer and just sat there and watched like, oh God, is someone going to have it? And then someone put it on. And I don't think they must have put it because we didn't mix it in that well, so they must have got some out there. And we never found out if anyone had actually had it because it was one of them like little token salsa things that it's there if you want it to make us look good, but no one actually eats it. Yeah, that was mad. Well, yeah, sorry,
genius.
Go on.
It's funny, mate.
Yeah, it was hilarious, wasn't it? Yeah.
Well, I think they were some of the best times. I remember the last time we went, and it was only like we stayed for the weekend. Me, you, a few others. Remember, we went in the back of that van. And I don't know if you remember this, but like, I can't remember who drove it. It was that van, no windows. We went out on the piss, came back, and we were in the back of this van, and we were just getting thrown about everywhere, like down those country lanes. Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's not mention names on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're on about. Yeah, because we were stuck out in the middle of nowhere. We couldn't get a taxi or anything, could we?
No.
Yeah.
Oh mate. That was brutal, that was, getting out of the back of that, just been like,
travel sick in the back, yeah. I remember just sliding on the...
I don't know why we thought it was a good idea. I'm sure there was like a camp chair or something in the back, wasn't there?
Yeah.
And I'm sure we were like, we'd be fine sitting in these. And then like first corner, we were like...
There were desk chairs. The computer desk with wheels on the bottom. Didn't last long.
No, that's something I wish we'd have filmed, because that was hilarious.
Yeah.
We had a good time. Like, even the showers, man. I know it's daft, in it, but like the amount of fun we used to have in the shower. We must have spent hours and hours in those showers, man.
Yeah.
Just preying on people as they come in.
Do you want to explain that a bit more?
Yeah.
Should we go into what we actually ended up doing in there? Because nudity was just like second nature, wasn't it? Because you always get put in this. You always get put in communal showers, and I remember in training it becomes very normal. Like if you're not naked, you're weird. Like if you go in there in your shorts, you're like, what's up with him?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no one's bothered about stuff like that, are they? But like, so essentially there was just 3 corridors, I think, of maybe 8 to 10 rooms. So there are 4 beds in each room, and then at the bottom of the corridor, like at the joining bit, there's a large bathroom, essentially, there's no toilet sinks and a massive shower. Just a big open space, 4 walls essentially covered in shower heads apart from the door, which had that flappy plasticky crap on. It was almost like the communal room, wasn't it? That's what it became.
People were in there that long, it's like a communal room.
But we'd just do anything in there, wouldn't we? Like I remember, like, I just can't. I mean, I don't think we really ever experienced it, because I think it was more like our generation sort of really kicked that shower thing off, really, or maybe like gases and stuff. But like, I can't imagine what the young lads who've never been to Castlemartin felt like when they walked in and there was 10 of us already in the shower.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we'd do silly stuff like, you know, the usual shampoo stuff, wouldn't we? Stuff that we probably shouldn't talk about.
I think we should. I think we should. It's obviously not add names into this part, but again, I think it all comes down to it's like the character building, the bonding. Like I say, being naked around the lads was just second nature because you always end up. You always end up in a communal room somewhere, like community shower room or showers, and it's just like
it's just normal.
Everyone's got to do that. You know, it's normal. Like if I was to do it now, it'd be a bit weird because I know that if I was to walk into a changing room, I have to sometimes think I'm not in the army.
Yeah.
You just don't start walking around bolloco because someone will have something to say about it. I'll get offended.
Yeah,
and I'll probably get offended if I see me naked as well. To be honest.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're in a room full of army lads now, even like vets or whatever they might be, like no one would even blink an eyelid.
Yeah, it'd just be like the common thing seeing someone bolt through the room naked. Just be like, oh,
it's
a full moon tonight.
Yeah. No, we had some good. We had good fun in there, didn't we? I don't know what it was, but
do you remember they cut the fire hose out, didn't they? Do you remember? But it was causing that much of a problem.
Yeah.
Like, if you use that fire hose, you're going to get charged. Yeah. 2 seconds later, that fire hose coming. And people be sliding around on the floor.
Yeah, fire. It's just brilliant, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just absolutely brilliant. It was almost like just an absolute kids on tour. Castlemartin, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Loved it.
And again, it was another bonding experience that gels you all together, doesn't it? Essentially, and it was all done in good jest as well. It was never nothing was ever serious about it, and you'd always think you're being singled out. But if you stood in there, once you got in there and then seen every other bloke get the same treatment on the way in, and then some of them you distract them.
Well, that fire hose didn't discriminate, did it, mate? Let's be honest.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't discriminate. And I remember going back, like one of the last times I went back there, they cut it off.
Yeah,
fairly so as well. They must have wasted millions of gallons of water in that shower.
Yeah, and let's be honest, mate, couldn't have just been us doing it.
Nah,
every regiment that went through there was probably didn't.
Yeah, because I'm adamant. I spoke to some other lads in like QDG, and they said exactly the same. They said it was exactly the same thing every time they went there.
Exactly. Yeah,
and it was bonkers.
Yeah.
So, anything else that sticks in your mind in Castlemartin? I know that it was like you say, there was a lot of alcohol consumed there, and over the weekends because you were relatively dry, and on the night you could have a couple of beers. But everyone was watching you anyway. So if you were like blind drunk, which never happened, because people become actually quite professional at that aspect because they knew that they were messing about with like weapon systems essentially.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
well, I think that was part of the reason why we had such good weekends because everyone was so professional in the week. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know. Only my opinion, but. You know, no one really took the piss, did they, in the week? Like no one ever went out. No one, you know, I don't think anyone probably consumed more than 1 or 2 pints of beer at night. Tops, everyone was even probably in bed relatively decent time, weren't they? You know, to get up relatively early. You know, everyone soldiered hard, worked hard throughout the day because it weren't like easy days, were they? You know,
no.
It was a lot of
long days as well.
Around, and just you know, but yeah, it was good fun. Like, obviously for me, like. Obviously going on to become a gunnery instructor, like I just loved, you know, 30mm ranges. I loved it. Like even as a driver, like where you probably the least involvement out of anybody in it really when you're a young lad and you're a driver, like just loved it.
There's still a lot to take on as well because even though again some people will be like, oh, you're just a driver. Well, actually, again, being a crewman, you're an integral part of that vehicle, aren't you? So even when it comes to like the ranges where you. If I remember rightly, it's called Obexing, was it? Obexing, forward back, and you had to make sure you got your forward back down to a T. And that, you know, some vehicles you had to slam on and wait for it to rock all the way forward, so the weight carried that.
Yeah.
Was it change lever or?
Yeah.
Well, I was a D&M instructor. I should be able to remember. It's like a sliding dog clutch or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So literally something like that. But yeah, so you had to tile that right, and if the driver messed it up. And you'd miss your time, wouldn't you? Yeah. And then you would fail it,
And everyone know about it as well, wouldn't they?
Ooh, didn't get that time, did he? Yeah, that's good. It's great.
Yeah.
So apart from that, anything else in Castlemartin that, you know, because you must have gone back as a commander as well.
Yeah.
Later on in your career.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, I loved. I probably enjoyed being a gunner more than I did a commander on
Yeah.
ranges for obvious reasons. You know,
Yeah.
that like, you know, the actual person pulling the trigger was always having the most fun. But commanding was good, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah, I enjoyed
you know,
it.
you generally like. I think you generally got a real sense of achievement and responsibility, especially at such a young age. I mean, when we must have done crew commanders, we probably weren't. I don't know, maybe like 25, 26 maybe.
Yeah, I reckon so. I reckon you're right there.
Yeah, so like that was good. Jumping ahead, loved running ranges, mate. Like,
Yeah.
in later life, yeah, I loved being a gunnery instructor on ranges. Like that was wicked. Like you know, actually like helping put this months of theory into context. You know, watching young lads just like shoot a target, completely miss it, and then talk them on, or you know, or figure it. You know, get them to figure out what it, you know, what ORAC actually means in reality. Instead of it just been an acronym and stuff. That was wicked. But no, Castlemont was good fun, mate. Like that, we had live ranges. Obviously, then we went on to become, you know, later in career became, you know, small arms and safety qualified. So doing all that was really good. Learned quite a lot actually on some of those. You know, seeing George S run some ranges and stuff. Learned a lot from that. Learned a lot of various different bits. Ran a few ranges up there as well, which was good fun. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, Castlemont was good.
Good.
All round good.
You just. There's a really fond memory of Ben.
Yeah.
Every time he says small arms, he does his T-Rex arms. Every time. It'd be like in mid conversation. He's a guy I'd like to get on here because. Joking aside, he doesn't let the truth get in the way of a good story, even though all his stories are the truth, if that makes sense. If people know what I'm on about, people know what I'm on about. And just he'd be mid-flow in a conversation, and then you'd just be like, oh, yeah, so we're going to go and do small arms. And then just carry on his conversation as if it never happened. And it was just like, what? Where do you even think of this stuff from?
Yeah.
His little T-Rex arms kicking out. Oh, yeah, it's a right fond memory. So going back to, we've done the Castle Martin, so pretty much pre-deployment training. So that brings us probably nicely onto deployment.
Yeah.
So first of two deployments, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
the same as me.
Yeah. So first time, obviously we both went, I think it was back end of April 2008, I think it was.
Yeah.
Herrick 8. I mean, still probably I know I've only done two, but that was my fondest memory, fondest tour. I think it was. You know, we had some really good lads. Obviously, remember like we were up early hours of the morning. You know, I think we had a week or two off beforehand. But, you know, been driven down there. Probably the first time I'd ever seen my old man cry. Actually.
Oh really?
That was, yeah. You know, him dropping me outside a camp gate and sort of watching him trying to hold the tears back, and obviously realising, you know, what we were all about to do. And I don't really think until like that moment either it really kicked in for me about like actually like what the consequences of it could be. You know, probably been so young, it was, you know, just one of them things. And then yeah, but I remember it quite vividly. Obviously, we got up in the morning, we all got on that coach, went to South Cerney, did whatever we did at South Cerney with like checking
all the kits, isn't it? Yeah,
kitting and all that stuff. It's a lot of sitting around in it. It's a lot of waiting around, but like, you know, you do 5 minutes of throwing your bag on of a truck, and then you just sit around for hours and you're bored out your brain, and then.
Do you not find it's one of them? It's like, right, you go to South Cerney, and then like what everyone would do as a flight, they'd hand through security. You got any gas? You got any, you know, from gas bottles? You got any this? Got any that? No. Right, we scanned this. Some idiot has got gas in their bag, and you're like, oh yeah, because obviously you're so used to and desensitised about having this stuff on exercise that some people would, first thing that comes to their mind is, oh, I've got a gas canister now, best get rid of that.
Yeah.
But because you're desensitised to it, gas canister's second nature. It's like you need that, and then you had to go out there and buy them yourself, didn't you?
Yeah.
And again, there's for the way back. There was, I think it was another lad in another regiment, and again, exactly the same thing. He had like grenade and ammunition in his day sack, and he just forgot there was there. But again, because it's second nature, and you become so desensitised to it, I remember because we had a civilian flight, they were all like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
Yeah.
And then they were, "Oh yeah, sorry, just pass them in." And then they walked off with them and then handed it, and it was sort of like that was it.
Yeah.
And that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? But I always found that it's not like five star, and they do this. Like what I mean by 5 stars, like you put it in and then it's all sorted for you.
Yeah.
And then you get told to take everything out. You're not going to see your baggage again.
Yeah.
Can I have 5 volunteers to come and help load? And you then round the back loading all your stuff. You've just gone through security. But I suppose it's still the steps I have to take because they wouldn't have found all them gas balls then.
Yeah.
And that's what I always found about that place. It was always bizarre.
Yeah,
it was just always a bizarre thing to do, wasn't it? Just turn up there, put your bags on, then load your own bags onto little pallets, and then they get netted, and then off they went.
Yeah. It was always weird, and like, I don't know. It's almost like you're right. It's like half airport, half camp, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's just really weird. And then and then like I never really truly understood why we ever went there as well. Because then you get on a coach and you go to Brighton Norton.
Yeah, I wonder if it was something to do with space, as in like they just didn't have the space there to be able to do that, or whether it was just like a holding area for us.
Yeah.
Because I suppose Brighton Norton wasn't that big either, was it?
No, it wasn't.
Very small.
Yeah, it wasn't. But I don't know. Weird, isn't it? But yeah. Like, I remember when we were going on the coach on the way there to Bry's actually, and you got like Jay and some other people who were cracking some jokes. I think they really like made life a lot easier, didn't they, for those younger lads?
Well, they had not long come back from Herrick 6 as well, so they'd done it all as well.
Yeah.
So they must have known what it must have felt like for some of them. For some of us, probably a bit nervous. Yeah. I don't remember me ever being nervous at that point. I think I was just so away with the fairies and just life in general. That you're around the blokes and you're just not even... you wasn't not thinking about it, but you was not...
It wasn't the forefront of your mind.
Yeah, exactly,
You weren't like, oh God, like life's ended. It was just like, cool. Like, you just get on with it. You know, it was almost like worrying about, like, oh, I need to pay my car tax next week. Same thing when it, like, I know I need to do something, but, like, whatever.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, like... But yeah, it was alright, wasn't it? And then, flight out there, I remember landing in Kandahar. Again, probably not overly shocking. Went into that like little hangery thing, didn't we? Loads of water. Again, it's not like civilian airport, is it? But, your bags just rock up on a pallet and you've got to handball them off. And,
Do you remember that flight? Or was it Herrick 8 or Herrick 13 where it landed so hard? Because you have to put your body on, because they fly quite high and then drop really quick, don't they? And then they literally come up, air brake, and then land. And there was one of them, and I'm adamant it was Herrick 8.
We went to
and they hit the ground so hard, everyone shit themselves.
I can't remember that. Was it going into Bastion or Kandahar?
It was Kandahar. We hit it really hard, because in Kandahar it was like a C-130 or Hercules, wasn't it?
No, you'd fly to Kandahar like a normal plane, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and
then you'd get your seat.
In Bastion, it would be C-130 and Kandahar. That C-130 and or a Hercules.
Yeah.
It was one of them two, wasn't it? But this civilian flight, these pilots had to land it with night vision on, didn't they?
Oh, they could have done, yeah.
Yeah, because they turned all the lights out.
Off, yeah.
Because we landed, and then the instant we landed, as we were walking into the hangar, we got IDF'd. Or the alarm went off, one of the two, and we all had to hit. I'm sure we all hit the deck, and then the lads were like, "Well, that set the tone."
I can't remember that.
Yeah, no. Maybe that was an R&R flight. It might have been an R&R flight. Me coming back from an R&R.
Yeah,
and that was it.
Possibly.
It was bonkers. I remember because it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
I remember hitting that hard. I hit my head off the chair in front of it, and luckily we had our helmets on because that's what you had to do. It's mad. Yeah. So that same hangar. So you walked into the hangar, and then you seen all your kit in, all the nets and that.
Yeah. And then it was all right though, wasn't it? I like it, and then it was just like truly, it was a hurry up and wait, wasn't it? Really, you get there, you do that. I can't remember what we did in that hangar, if I'm honest, apart from drink cold bottled water. Middle of the night as well, wasn't it, when we got there? And then suddenly we were on a Herc to Bastion, weren't we? And then, again, same thing, I think we walked, didn't we? Walked to the accommodation from the flight line, I think. Our kit got taken to where we were, like our like tent things, but like I think we walked on Harrogate. I can't remember. But yeah, it's just a different world, isn't it? You know, it's weird. Like I remember Kandahar. I can't really. Obviously, I remember a lot about Kandahar on the way back, but I can't really remember much. You know, we didn't really see much on the way there, did we? But yeah, obviously, when you get into Bastion, you got just like dust roads and like stony dust roads and just rows and rows of tents. And I think the first thing I was surprised by was the size of it. Like you almost think, oh, I'm going to get there and it's going to be quite small, but massive, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's huge. Absolutely huge. And but yeah, it's I'd say it's a good setup, but it's a really standard setup, isn't it? So, like I always remember, you got the like 4 tents almost surrounded by like Hesco Bastion, with that like black plasticky flooring stuff on.
That's right, yeah.
With stones everywhere, like the other bit, and then there was a troop in a room, weren't there? Minus the 3 bars and the troopies who were summing it up in another tent somewhere.
Yeah, that's right.
But even that was a good laugh, and then we did the acclimatisation stuff for the first few weeks, like first 3 or 4 days. And then who did we have? Oh, we took over from C Squadron, didn't we? Because they did 7, we did 8.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so that was all right. That was in there because obviously you knew some of the lads anyway from the C. And then hand over the vehicles, didn't we? And then I remember we our first move out to Muscala, I think was our first place we went. We had to drive from Bastion to Muscala.
Fob Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Yeah,
Fob Edinburgh. Yeah,
just pulled that one out of the woodworks there, didn't I?
That's it, yeah. And everyone broke down within about 20 minutes.
You become a real professional at doing your maintenance side.
Oh yeah,
of D&M. Bloody doing like an engine change overnight. Waking up in the morning, everyone would wake up, brush their teeth, and then you'd be doing the last bolt. And then you jump in the driver's cab and go.
Yeah.
That's mad, yeah.
That first move, mate, because that took us it must have took us 5 days. Easily 5 days, I reckon, to get to Edinburgh, because we literally broke down, didn't we? I remember people literally breaking down from 200 metres outside the camp. Yeah. And it was like they were just getting hooked up, dragged somewhere to wherever we stopped. And then
well, the vehicles have been there for quite a while, hadn't they? So they must have gone through a lot of stress to even get to the point where we had them.
Oh, absolutely.
And then they're just popping off, weren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. And it was graft, wasn't it? It was graft because then you'd stop, you'd fix stuff. Even if it weren't your wagon, you'd be on it, you'd help them out.
Yeah, all the drivers are dipping, wouldn't they? While the gunners were doing stag
on that, yeah. And then, and just the pure heat as well. Like in that driver's cab, remember it was red hot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was so hot, just drenched in sweat. Constantly drenched in sweat.
You'd just come out wet, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then dry off really quickly and then go back in and then just start sweating again.
Stand up with salt stains on you like about.
Yeah. You'd put your combats on the floor and it'd still be stood up.
Yeah. Just and putting your sock on your bottle of water to keep it cold.
Really effective though.
100%, yeah.
Really effective.
Life trick, that, mate.
Yeah. When we changed vehicles, they were even colder because you could go even faster on one of the Jackals. Sorry. Yeah. And then they were really cold.
Yeah.
So I was well happy.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, mate. We had a bit of an eventful trip, didn't we? That first one, which obviously you can remember quite well, but I don't know how much you want to go into stuff like that.
Go into it, mate. If you've got something on the back of your mind, let's go for it.
Yeah,
if it's there, let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, I remember we were on our way to Fob Edinburgh, and we were obviously going through a waddy, weren't we? And then unfortunately, Babs and that wagon hit an ID, and that was our first sort of, our first casualty, unfortunately, which resulted in a death and a few people being injured. I think that was a real reality shock, I think, for me. I mean, if I'm totally honest, I didn't even really truly see it that much. My troop were, one side of a waddy, looking out, not in. Next minute, bang, and obviously everyone looks and see what's going on. You see the carnage, and you hear the carnage coming over the net. And it was like, holy crap. Because to that point, I don't think we'd even seen anything. Like, we might have, until that point, we might as well have just been driving around Mechanic Chase, because we didn't see any Taliban, we hadn't seen anything bad. we hadn't known anything, and then suddenly it was like, wow, what a reality! Like, what a reality check. And obviously, I remember like, I know we were in FOD Edinburgh already, weren't we? We'd already got to FOD Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And we went out on
patrol, didn't we?
That's it.
Yeah, that's right. Because I remember Babs that morning giving me loads of crap about washing my clothes. Like, I'd never hand washed clothes before. So like,
so hold on. So he was taking the mick out of you because he was watching you wash clothes.
Yeah, well, he ended up washing for me. Yeah. So basically, like, we'd obviously got them like they were the tops of the javelin tubes. They're like big bowls, weren't they?
Yeah.
And got water in there. I needed to wash some combats because I was just hacking. And all I did was basically like fill it with water, put my clothes in, like pushed it around a few times, pulled it out, and Babs was like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
I'm like, washing, and he was washing his stuff at the same time. He's like, "No, mate," and he basically had to teach me how to wash my clothes in this thing. But yeah, it was just crazy, just absolutely crazy.
Because it was my troop that was involved in that as well.
Yeah.
Because I was in the Wadi.
Yeah, I do remember that. I didn't know if that's why I was trying to be a little bit overcautious, if I'm honest. Cause talk about it really.
So, that's what we're here for. We're here to try and talk about the dark side of it. That's what the whole podcast is about. Talking about the dark side of the army that not many people, not necessarily want to talk about, that they have a platform to talk about. And it's more about educating people on early signs of PTSD. And trying to, so like if any of us have ever felt it, and anyone that's in the military now, or not even in the military, that people just listen to it and they hear some similar things, that they can capture it before it goes too bad.
Yeah.
Then that's mission success for me.
Yeah.
If I save one person, if we save more than one person, brilliant. Yeah. And again, it's a lot to do, like I was talking to you outside, was to try and capture your story. So your story, this is a part of what happened to you as well as it did me. So it's your story. So tell it as however you want it. Go into as detailed as anything that you ever want.
Yeah.
Don't think that I'm going to tell you not to tell you something because I was involved in it.
Yeah,
I remember it very well. I remember when the explosion went off, I remember almost blacking out. But I was still conscious, but I couldn't see anything because the explosion, like for me, I wasn't expecting it. As we all wasn't. The explosion hit the back of my head that hard that it sort of like I just went blank for a second. It was really weird, and then I remember grabbing my nuts, like that.
Yeah. Well, I do remember it quite well. Obviously, like I was not, we were looking out. We hadn't crossed the Wadi, and obviously I remember, you and. You and others doing sort of Barmer and various other different bits going on and all of it, and then like you suddenly become engrossed in it, don't you? It's almost like when I replay it in my mind, it's almost like watching it on TV, like it was a film, because you watch a lot of films nowadays and you're like, it's nothing like it, but you almost play that out as in sand everywhere and the pure like. Almost like the pure panic in people's voices over the radio, and not like in a bad way. Like no one was panicking, but like I don't know how to explain it. Like there's a clear difference in tone and severity, isn't there, in like people's voices? And obviously everyone wants to help and do all the other stuff, but no one truly really knows what's gone on either. Yeah. So there's this massive like overwhelming like. What's gone on? Who's hurt? Who's not hurt? Like, are you hurt? Is Joe Bloggs hurt? What wagon was it? Like, and it was just like it's just a mind fuck. You just spend like 5-10 minutes just be like your mind going like crazy, like what's going on? And then obviously there's the details come out and stuff goes on. But I think for me, like just watching that helicopter come in and just seeing like. A body get, on a stretcher getting put on the back of a helicopter. Yeah. It was hard. It was hard to watch stuff like that. It's really hard to. It's really hard to get out of your mind. I think. I mean, I wouldn't go anywhere near it. It's like a PTSD event, but I think it was sad. It was really sad, and like you can't experience, I don't think, that level of sadness, can you, until you see something like that, especially when it's one of your mates. It's hard, isn't it? Yeah, and it was just really somber, wasn't it? And I think the weird thing and the hard thing is you've got to remember, like, you're there to do a job, and once that helicopter took off, it was almost snapping back to reality of, okay, well, we're still out in the middle of nowhere and we've still got to get somewhere, we've still got to go and do something. Yeah, and yeah, I think such a young lad, it was a bit of a reality check about it ain't a joke. Do you know what I mean? All these things that people have been saying and doing, and
it's
trying
for real.
to teach you, like, you can't, you can't fuck about it. This isn't the place. But
I think they do a really good job at training you to deal with these things, but essentially, I think some people just react completely different when it comes down to it. Essentially, and I remember it very well, especially being involved in it. And I remember I have a really good thing of packing things up and putting them away. So a lot of this stuff I've forgot.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a coping mechanism that I've got, and maybe I'm just quite good at that. Yeah. How did you feel at that time? Is there anything that you can unpack in there that would you like? Because when I don't remember being upset. I remember just being concerned, like, what's next? Like, I don't know, and I know that's quite. I know some people will probably think, oh, that's horrible, but that's how you cope with it, essentially, and being able to not necessarily bog yourself down in that situation and still remain some level of professionalism because you've still got a job to do.
Yeah.
You still have to. I feel you still have to think about the next step.
Yeah.
Even though that's in your face, but also I think that's also a coping mechanism. But for most people, it's just like if you weigh yourself down with it too much, then it can become a problem for you. So how did you actually feel when you seen the actual helicopter come in and him get taken away?
Probably quite similar to yourself, mate, really. I mean, I wouldn't describe myself as sad or like upset.
Yeah.
But concern is probably maybe even almost anxious.
Yeah.
Anxious to understand really what's happened, anxious to understand, but like you said, you're unpacking it. You're almost packing it away because, you don't know whether, like, 2 minutes later you're going to get shot from the left, right, wherever, because of all this is going on. You're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So you almost become like hyper alert. Like, I remember sitting with Jane when it happened. We got out of the driver's cab, and I think we might have been sitting next to one of the wagons, his or mine, and almost like silent. We were almost like silent, just like, I can't believe that's happened. But it wasn't emotional, if that makes sense. It was just, I can't honestly describe
surreal.
it. Yeah, surreal is probably the right word. Yeah. But then, like you say, you just sort of pack it up. You get to put in a box, doesn't it? For whether that's 5, 10, 15 minutes, a few hours later. And I know it sounds really bad, but you almost like forget about it. You've got a job to do, wherever. I generally can't remember what we were doing or where we were going or whatever. And I can't remember really sort of feeling upset until we got back to Edinburgh. And things were, we were living outside, so they weren't safe, were they? But, like, things were more relaxed. And then sort of going like, shit. And you're sitting down with your troop and sort of talking it through. And, I remember, like, specific people in the troop, more senior people that, been there, done it, experienced it, sort of trying to not almost encourage you to talk about it, but like...
Trim. You remember the thing called Trim? It was, I think that was like the very, very early... I don't think it was even called Trim then. I think it was just called Chatting It Through, I think.
Yeah.
And then they brought in Trimming, because I remember having to sit down, like you say, and talk to people about it to try and unpack it a little bit, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I remember just as a troop, just been like, what the fuck had happened? And then, like, obviously, excuse me, troop leader, free bar, I'd got like a different perspective on it, or, they'd been read in and understood it from their, from a free bar level, or from a senior sort of leadership group level, and their, relative meetings and talks that they'd had, that, they could sort of fill some of the gaps as well, and you sort of go through it. But yeah, and then it's then it was a somber it was somber, wasn't it? Really, it was just really down, and and a bit weird for a few days, and then I think we drove back, didn't we? To matter of fact, we did drive back, didn't we? Drove back to Bastion. Gave him a good send off, which I think we did well, and the lads particularly that did the
repatriation.
Repatriation, that's the one. Yeah, they did. I think they did him proud. And then obviously we had I think we had about 2 weeks there, didn't we, to sort the vehicles out, and we split into sort of 2 groups and sort of separate ways. There.
We re-rolled, didn't we? So half of us were CVRT, which was yourself, right?
Yeah.
And then I did the Jackal side.
Yeah.
I changed over, so I ended up being a driver, and then changing to being a gunner, which was quite good for me. I thought less repairing vehicles, and more trigger time, essentially. But yeah, no, that was odd within itself, and I think it was unheard of that a squadron would go over there in one roll and then have to re-roll.
Yeah.
And this is just before they started bringing out all the new engines, didn't they?
Yeah.
And if I remember right, was you getting the new engines towards the end of that tour? Did they have it on the next tour? Because it was a problem that we highlighted. And
I think they had it on the next tour. I think we basically got like the best, didn't we? They were like, these are the vehicles that are in peak condition. There's only X amount of them that's there. It's 2 troops worth. Use those, and the rest of the vehicles effectively could be used for spares and to get us through. And we did have considerably less problems. So, it was alright. It's just, I suppose it was a bit weird. I mean, my troop mainly stayed intact. So from a driver perspective and stuff, I think the only person that really changed was Boggy. Boggy was our 3-bar. He obviously went with you lot, and and Coxie as well. Coxie was my commander, and then I got Gal, which was wicked. And Gal was, an absolute top lad. We had good fun, to be fair, in the similar stuff. A little bit jealous at the time, I think. Wanting to go Jackal.
I can imagine. Yeah.
In all honesty, I think you looked at it going like, I want to get over there.
I didn't envy you guys on them CVRTs the way they've been performing in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, I could imagine. But it was all right, we had a good time, didn't we? We had good fun.
So what did you end up doing in CVRT? Because it's quite I suppose it's a part of that tour which I didn't hear of, and even when we got back, I don't feel like we ever really spoke about it either. It was just it was just like onto the next job, if that makes sense. As morbid as that may be for some people, but I think So I sort of so we drove down towards Garmacia, I think, was it called? We're right down by the fish hook, right down at the Delhi or Dwyer, wasn't it?
Delhi.
Do you remember Dwyer? Everyone called it Dyer, didn't they? Because I'm sure we ended up coming towards you guys.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
At some point as well.
Yeah. So Dwyer, that was it. Dwyer. So we were in Dwyer for some months really, quite a considerable amount of time, and essentially we were doing sort of like 4 or 5 day patrols out there. So we were, and if I'm honest, mate, I can't even remember what we were truly the purpose of what we were doing or what the objectives were in terms of. I remember us, I think, looking for quite a lot of IED smuggling routes and stuff like that. I think, but yeah, we were in there, mate. It was all right. We had some Americans in there that were like American artillery, I think they were.
Because they had that downed helicopter outside, didn't they? Do you remember that? Like it's like a mini Chinook, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It wasn't. They're nowhere near as big as the ones that we had, but they were quite small, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. And
I remember turning up there like, what's going on here?
Yeah, a weird place, but it was like typical. It was weird. Well, I always found it like weirdly ran as well. Like I think the Cav kept themselves to themselves, but like. I don't know, it's weird, wasn't it? Like,
well, they had a full-on operation there, didn't they? If I remember, they had I remember walking around after, and they had like massive office spaces, and I remember when they extracted from wherever they were. Do you remember all the people, and they put like parachutes up?
Yeah.
To generate a lot of shade, and there was loads of them, just like rows and rows of beds, and we'd go over there and just set of my shorts for your shorts, and go around looking at their guns and stuff, and then being just pure American.
Yeah. We made some really good, like some, it's like 3 or 4 of them who, like, honestly, we spent loads of time with. They were brilliant. I remember like watching Iron Man for the first time because one of them had got a laptop with Iron Man on it, and we were like, oh, this is wicked. But for them it's different. That was where they were sent, and that's where they were living for 6 months. So they almost had like their own creature comforts. For us, it was anything you can stick in a backpack that you can take with you on the wagon, wasn't it?
Because we were always moving. We were always, I'd say out in the middle of nowhere, but probably not too far from a fob of some kind. But on the other hand, you do end up going in the middle of nowhere and disappearing for days. It's quite mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
And not having that luxury of a laptop or being able to charge it up.
Yeah, well, that was it. That was a problem. I think my PSP, I think I had at the time, but like I said, come everywhere, but battery died, mate. And you were just like, that's it, great.
Until you
had
get
about
to
3 films as well. That was about it.
Yeah. So what was your daily life in that fob? Fob Dyer. Definitely Fob Dyer, isn't it? Yeah, because we always used to go down and call it Dwyer. It was Dyer because of the... Yeah, so it was called Fob Dwyer, and we called it Fob Dyer because of the... there was like the showers or there were crap there.
And that food thing. Remember that fucking food thing?
Was it powdered mashed potato or something,
Yeah, a weird place. Life in Dwyer, mate. Well, honestly, it was pretty buckshy because if I'm totally honest, we were only there really to rest, restock and go back out. So we were, I don't know if it was just my troop, but we're relatively sort of, left quite alone. Gal and Bullbed, been in my crew. We'd had this like, doesn't matter what time of day we get back, we'll sort the wagon out, make sure it's got everything it needs to, all the food, all replen, all the water, because obviously back bin was just full of water, wasn't it?
It was,
mechanically fine, all good, and then we just chill out, for a day or 2 days or whatever it was, and then off we pop again 4 or 5 days later, come back and do the same thing. So, from our point of view, it was relatively sort of chill. I mean, it became a little bit less chill when the sort of people who ran the fob wanted us to do more fob stuff. So they'd want us to...
How dare they?
I know, they'd want us to stag on and stuff.
Yeah.
That ruined the sort of chill experience of it. Because obviously I had that big ISO, refrigerated ISO as well, which was like seeing heaven opening that door, mate, getting cold water out. So coming back to that was wicked. But yeah, we didn't do too much there. And then eventually went down to PB1. So I think we spent about 8 weeks in PB1, which was that tiny little weird fob thing, which I know you came to visit once or twice.
That's right.
And I liked it there. I really liked it there.
It was nice.
We did some good stuff.
Wasn't that? Did they call that wagon wheel? Was that the wagon wheel? Did they call it the wagon wheel? I don't know. I could say wagon wheel a few more times if you want, and hopefully that changes your mind. But
what was it called again?
Wagon wheel. I can't remember what it was called, and it was like 5 PBs, weren't there? There was like Balaclava. Yeah. I'm sure there was Fob Balaclava there, and then there was from 1 to 5 and Balaclava, and you go past Balaclava, and then you end up in the green zone, hitting all these different PBs going past them.
Yeah. That was it. Yeah, that was good fun, mate. I liked it there.
Yeah,
I liked it there. Yeah, it was really fun. It was like
got some trigger time down there as well.
Yeah, it was a bit spicier down there, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it was. And I always sit back and think of it, and I can never remember what the hell we're doing there. Because, especially as a driver, I sit and think about it, and I've looked at a map before, and I'm like, where the hell did I go? Because I was so like, my job is driving. I'm going to get someone from A to B, and I'm going to make sure I don't hit like an IED or I don't throw a track or anything like that. So you sort of become, I wouldn't say numb, but I definitely become blasé to the fact of where you actually are on a map, because it's not your job to think about that. You've got to think about something else. Yeah. And then you speak to other lads, they're like, oh yeah, we went here, here and here, and I'm just like, how do you even know that?
Yeah, I know, mate.
I remember I was just like so caught up in doing my job that I let them do that and I did that. And then I would like to actually sit down and have a chat with someone and them show me on a map what we did. Yeah. And actually say, oh, that was that operation. That's where we did that. That's where that happened.
Yeah, it's a shame, in it, because it's almost like it'd been great if like you'd had a wagon Strava. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you could look back over like 6 months and go like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's mad, mate. Like some of the places that we went to, and like, it's cool. Like, isn't it? It was just like mad.
Yeah. So PB1.
Yeah.
So obviously going from Fob Dwyer, I keep wanting to say Dwyer because that's all I've ever referred to it to as. So PB1. So what'd you get up to there?
Same stuff, mate. Really, but more, I'd say, localised and smaller patrols. So we went out for sort of 4 or 5 days, and maybe a day or two max, or even just a few hours sometimes. But
you had ramps there as well, didn't you? Didn't you have ramps to go up above the HESCO?
No, we didn't.
Did you not
have ramps? No. So it was an A&A camp, wasn't it? An A&A camp got.
And that's sketchy enough.
Yeah, not sketchy enough. Yeah, and got the Royal Irish there as the omelette. I think. So from our point of view, like life was, that fob in stuff we had to do in PB1. We didn't have to do anything. But again, there's no showers, there's no toilets, there's no, there's no amenities of whatsoever. So you'd sort of gone from Dwyer, where you got these amenities, even though they weren't great, to to almost nothing. But that was all right, mate. I preferred it, if I'm honest, because you then spend time with the lads more, and we were doing crazy stuff like playing cricket, which was a disaster because every time someone actually hit the ball, it'd go outside the PB, and that was it. Game over. Do you know what I mean?
Go and get your battle gear on to go patrol. Yeah. Right, on the next patrol, you've got to get the football. That is your main objective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember the sand as well, mate. Like, it was like dusty sand because of the vehicles just been going over.
It was like talcum powder, wasn't it? It was like talcum powder soft. That's what it was like there.
It was so deep, wasn't it? It was almost like ankle deep.
Yeah.
So like trying to play cricket on that, I remember like we put like a bit of wood down on some, like they weren't bricks, but something like that, so you could bounce the ball off it, so it would go to the. Just like the stuff you do is mad, wasn't it? Like you just invent crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I remember like Carrington making a pizza, like digging a hole in the ground, and setting fire to something, and making a pizza and stuff. It's just weird. And
just thinking of different ways to keep you occupied. Yeah. Was it PB one where if you got Dick to take the rubbish out, you had to go and put your body armor and helmet on and make a mad dash to the fireplace? Remember the fire pit outside?
Yeah.
And then you'd have to make a mad dash, throw it on, and then run back.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Yeah.
I remember that. It was like a lottery, wasn't it?
Yeah, a funny story actually about me and Coops on that one. So like, we, I think we just like body armor, helmet. We'd just been for a shit. We were throwing our shit bags in the fire pit. That's what we were doing.
Yeah.
Literally, as soon as Coops like threw his shit in the fire pit, it's like boom. We were like, what's going on? Sort of like both like scrambling, like thinking, what the hell's going on? Like, who's shooting at us? Who's mortaring us? What's going on? Whatever. Anyway, like end up running back into fob, and like Coops is sort of like peppered in tiny bits, and basically some fucking twat thrown a battery into the fire. It was just blown up, and we were just like, ah. Like,
so what was he covered in then?
Just like tiny bits of like plastic, basically.
Oh, really?
It was almost, I assume it was like something in the fire pit that was near it, or like wrappaging of the battery of some sort. But yeah, we were like both at the deck and everything, and just like thinking, all right, here we go.
Yeah,
got 100-metre sprint back to camp here. Why we're going to get like, But yeah, that was quite funny. It was funny. And then like the next day, like camp actually got attacked. Slept through it. Didn't even wake up.
Did you not?
No.
No one come even stand you to or anything?
No, like it was like a lot of the lads were sleeping outside against the sort of fob walls, but about 5-6 of us were lucky enough to. There was 2 sort of HESCO bastion rooms. I say rooms. They had no tops on other than like wooden tops, and only 3-sided. And the officers were in one, and we sort of flukily managed to get the other one.
I think I've got a picture of this. Because when we come and join you, that we took one of the rooms as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
And it's like you say, there's like 2 of them next to each other. It was like a U shape, and then a straight wall.
Yeah, that's
and there was no door in it, was there?
No wall. Yeah, I remember when you guys came down, like for that, I think it was just a flying visit, and like a few lads just sticking camp cots up in there with us and that. And I thought, we were in there, and it was almost like everyone forgot about us. Basically, whole camp was stood to, and we were like next morning them going like, oh, that last night, and like we on that.
So how bad was it? Was it like a full blown fight? Was it?
Couldn't tell you, mate.
Trust you lads to do that and just sleep straight through it.
Slept straight through it, mate.
Man, that's mad.
I don't think it was anything bad, mate. I think it was just like probably a few minutes and more on them things, but yeah, Yeah. Apparently, like at least 2 centuries, like the pigs going off on both sides, and
Yeah.
fast asleep. Yeah, none of us in that room knew about it, mate.
Yeah.
None of us. We almost thought people were winding us up next day.
Yeah. The pigs are GPMG for people who are wondering what the hell was in a century point. The pigs were going off snorting.
Yeah. And we played Angry.
Yeah, no wonder they didn't wake you up. You couldn't hear them.
It was Angry Birds, basically.
Yeah. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Is there anything else on that tour that sticks out?
Yeah, they got the obviously losing Magpies hard, not being there.
So what did you guys? Because again, I was involved in that. And I wasn't involved in that. I was on the same side as them, but it was the other troop that were involved in it. Because we both got locked in different places, and they had that incident go on, and we had another incident go on at the same time. And I remember us falling back, and we didn't know anything at the time, and we were closer as well. So, what information did you get? And I mean, you can unpack it as much as you want.
Yeah, it was really unusual, mate. Because obviously we were back in Bastion. You know, we were doing that handover period, ready to go back, and it was actually Gal. And I remember specifically like being with Duffers, and we just spent 15, 20 minutes before that. You remember Gal used to do his crazy gambling stuff where he'd pretend he was the bookies and give him $1 to throw like a bit of paper half a mile, and if you couldn't do it, he'd take your cash and stuff. And it was, anyway, we were doing something like that. Something
we'd all get suckered into that, though, wouldn't we?
Yeah. It was good fun, and to be fair, like he'd pay out when he needed to on the football and stuff. But yeah, I remember just me and Duffers having a fag, just literally smoking by the side of the Bastion and by the Hesco, sorry, and then Gal just coming out and being like, lads, I'm really sorry to tell you, but Magpies died. And we were just like, what? And just like, yeah, like Jen. And we were just like, holy crap. And I remember that was probably the first time that like I visibly had tears like running down my face, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, at that point, like, tour was over. We were days away from getting on a plane going home. And, I knew I wasn't going back out, outside the Bastion. And it was just like... And then just looking at Duffers and just been like... And he was almost going through the same thing, and we were just like... And we just looked at each other, mate, in silence for like 5-10 minutes. It was almost like... I think what we probably should have done in hindsight is we probably, both should have just given each other a cuddle and cried, but, you want to look hard at the same time, don't you?
Typical squaddies, eh?
Yeah, and, that was just rats, mate. Like, I remember that vividly, and then been involved in his repatriation and, and carrying his coffin, and I'd hands down say that was honestly one of the hardest things I'd ever, generally ever had to do, in my career. Like, obviously knowing Magpie well, and a bit of guilt, if I'm honest, as well, because there's better lads to have done what I did on that day, but closer lads to him that should have done that, instead of me, even though I knew him well and we'd spent loads of time together.
Yeah, I was gutted. I wanted to be there, and also I wanted to be at his funeral as well, but couldn't. I was still out on the ground. I think I'm sure when his funeral was, I think we just got back to Bastion.
Well, his funeral in the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, some lads went back, didn't they? And I was the same. I didn't. We stayed. I know what you mean. Like, I'd have loved to have been there, but
as in, like, well, obviously people that probably don't understand it. You mean you'd love to be there to give him a send off that he deserves?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that's what you mean, isn't it? And and I think everyone would have wanted to be there as well. But on the other hand, and this might sound very nasty, but we still had a job to finish off, and we had to finish to make sure that it was done professionally as well, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So if you could describe it, your feelings a bit more in depth. Do you want to talk about your feelings more in depth with how that? I know you were saying that you had a tear, but was it a sense of, was you overwhelmed? Was angry? Was you, I don't know, just like
shocks, man.
Just pure shock.
Shock, yeah. It went from I went through like a variety of different emotions. I think it was all. I think that initial time, it was almost disbelief and shock.
Yeah.
You know, looking back, like it was almost like someone telling you something that you thought was a joke, but you know that there's no way in the world that they were ever joking. You know.
Yeah.
And you almost wanted to be like, fuck off, mate. You winding me up here, but you knew that they were winding you up because no one's that evil and sadistic.
Yeah. But on the other hand, you wouldn't put it past them to joke about stuff like that. But just before you go on, I think a lot of people, with squaddies, soldiers, whatever you want to call us, have a real sick, twisted mind because, again, I think it's a coping mechanism. And for someone to joke about that is almost... Do you know what? I can't even put a word on it.
I think it had been too far, wouldn't it? Like you would have made lots of jokes in and around and in the same vein as like death and killing and all these different, however you want to phrase it. But I don't think anyone would have ever put their own friend and those things in the same sentence as a joke or not, would they? So
it's like when me and you were on the phone this morning and you said something to me, which whether you go into that on this, I don't know. I laughed and called you out on it, didn't I?
Yeah.
Because of the mentality that both me and you share. And then it turned out that, to eat my own words, because you were being serious.
I should have made a Robocop it, shouldn't I?
That's something. That's another one you should go talk about, mate. Yeah. But yeah, so we digress again. So you were shocked.
Yeah, and it's just sad, mate. Like really sad, but again, sort of, I think I locked it away. The true sadness or grief, I suppose, really came when on the repatriation. Like I could specifically remember being taken into a room, with Magpie in his coffin in the hospital, and the padre, given opportunity to sort of say goodbye and do some other things in there, which to then get the coffin essentially to take it onto the Urk. That was hard. That was really hard. That was like the first real time, I think, in the whole event where I was like, dry mouth, lump in my throat, like really, really sad. Yeah. Really, really sad. But again, it sort of like dissipated when it was actually sort of marching and doing the repatriation. It was more of, I've got a job to do again. I've got a job to do for my mate as well, so it was more important, to make sure that sort of gets on. And then I can remember specifically coming back to the tents, walking down that road to where the phones were, and just like, I think I rang my missus and just cried my eyes out, mate. If I'm honest, just cried my eyes out, and then I just couldn't stop crying, mate. Couldn't stop crying, and eventually sort of got out, and I think I saw Mal Griss, or Grice, and then I think he saw me, and I just looked at me and was like, pat on the shoulder, and off I went up the road, and by the time I sort of got back to tents, which was probably only like 400 or 500 metres, wasn't it? It wasn't very far. Put my sort of big boy pants on again and sort of pretend it didn't happen, went to sleep, and just it was just really hard, and I don't know why, mate. Really, I couldn't really put a thing on. I think it's just like emotionally going through the whole, even though I wasn't with him directly, just a whole experience of like, having to put someone on a plane and seeing someone and doing that. It's a sort of just hard, isn't it? No one would want a mate to die, but you sort of want to go like, what? Yeah, don't know. Yeah, don't know. I'm sure it's a lot worse for others and various different things, but yeah, that was certainly difficult. But
yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. So, once you come back from home, how was being home?
Fine. Yeah, fine. I mean,
find it weird. I find it weird. I remember sitting there looking at TV with no one even on because we didn't have. I mean, we had the luxury of it in some fobs, but not when you was out. I remember just going, there's nothing I really want to watch, to be honest. I'm not.
Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to almost like be with people. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't want to, like it was the same, mate. Like I was just probably almost a pest to a lot of my mates with, you know, probably working and doing all the other stuff. And
Do you want to go out?
Oh, yeah, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Do you want to go out?
No, I've got to work. I've got to be an adult.
Yeah, no, just,
Can't be at home sat there twiddling my thumbs for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
Or a month, however long it was.
Yeah, but I can't really remember what I did, mate. I didn't do anything special. That's probably one of my regrets, really. I think in hindsight, and I did it the second time, I probably should have looked at going on holiday or something, but we obviously got back, you know, mid-November, start of November, didn't we? It was coming to Christmas and stuff, but I still think now I probably should have used that cash that was saved up to you know, to have gone somewhere decent.
Was you know, when we got back, was it Harry Kate where we got back on bonfire night?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah, that was exciting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Remember we got back and do you remember it? Do you remember it within? Yeah, go on. I'll let you tell the story.
Yeah.
Go on.
Actually, coming off the coach, Matt. It must have been within 30 seconds. It was like,
yeah, that's it. Yeah, so it was all coming back. And everyone could see their families, and everyone's looking out the window, giving them away. Like, oh yeah, we're all back. Everyone jumps off. Everyone starts going towards the families, and then someone, I'm adamant, someone on that pads estate behind the camp knew we were coming back and just let a rocket off.
It was actually that. It was that close. That's where it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I reckon they waited. They must have had a phone on the go, and then and they released a rocket. Obviously fireworks because the UK. And it popped off, and everyone sort of went half down to the ground in there. They're like,
it's like surfing move, wasn't it? It was like,
and then there was just
halfway down, realise it's not real.
And then there was a sombre and quiet, like a moment of just quietness, just pure quiet, and then everyone just started laughing, didn't they?
Yeah.
And even all the parents didn't know how to take it, did they? They were like,
Yeah, I wonder what it's like from their perspective, to be fair, because they must have just been like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
All of them just stopped in unison.
Yeah.
That was mad. So you got back, so you had some time off, and then so in between that we had to do pre-deployment training courses. What courses did you do in between that and then the next tour?
Good question. JCC.
Any good? Enjoy it?
Yeah, it was alright. I didn't mind JCC. It was alright.
I didn't like it. I didn't like the junior commanders one.
Do you know what?
I thought it was terrible. Yeah.
I can't remember the first one actually. Oh no, I do remember the first one. Did me and you do it together actually?
I think we did, yeah. And they were trying to tell me that to my beret. And I was like, I've already earned stuff.
You did do it well. Did it together, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was shit actually, thinking about it. Because I'm one idiot really, wasn't there? But no names actually.
Yeah. What are you looking at me for?
Then can't remember, mate. Can't remember what I did. Generally can't remember.
So let's talk about JCC. JCC is just a junior commander's course, and it allows you to become a lance jack, isn't it? A lance corporal.
Yeah.
Gives you your junior commander skills to be like a Section 2 IC, but you're also trained to be an IC, because I always find with the military, they always train you to be one up than what you're actually going to be, because I feel, and it's quite good because it allows you to understand the next person up's job, which I think is fantastic, because you can almost second guess them, not in a bad way, and help them out to make their job a lot easier, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what they do really well. So did JCC, anything on there? That particularly just standard soldiering, right?
Yeah, it was nothing difficult, was it? It was just a ball ache, I think.
Yeah, it's just it's another thrashing, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that was the point. I think it was the pain in the arse bit was like the fact that maybe being big-headed, but you just like, for us, we'd just been there, we'd just done it, and now we're like here cleaning magazines and got curfews and stuff, and it was have a word, mate, running up and down that stupid path.
But I sort of understand it, because it's instilling discipline, essentially, and I think if you were just left at your own devices, I think the army would be an absolute big cowboy show, you know.
Yeah.
So I understand it, and I look back, and at the time I didn't like it, but you know, if you did stuff you liked all the time, you probably wouldn't become as professional. I don't know. You could argue that, couldn't you?
No,
because if you're doing stuff you don't want to do, then when it comes to doing like something on tour you don't want to do, you just get on with it, don't you?
I think it's a staple, mate, really. I mean, like, I look back and moan, and I think I only really moan because out of all the courses, it's probably on the lower end of my enjoyment scale. But the reality is, like, if someone said, like, do you want to go and do it again? I probably would still say, like, yeah, go on then.
Yeah, let's give it a bash.
Yeah.
Should make like a veterans junior commanders course.
Yeah, make people pay for it, though.
Yeah.
Pay for the pain.
It'd be comedy, wouldn't
Civies
it?
pay for this.
Yeah, that's the saying in the army, and it's civies pay for this, and they're right as well, because they do.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
And we're getting it for free. How dare we? How dare we not do this?
I can't remember what you asked me, mate.
Anything that stands out on JCC?
No, not really.
No.
No,
or
not really.
What about your next
I think I did,
career courses that stand out?
gunnery, I think, after that.
Good instructors?
No, B3.
Okay.
I think.
That's always fun, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a mint course. Mint course. Learning to fire 30 mil and that was, it was good fun. Bit of ranges on that as well. Lovely Castle Martin.
Yeah. Back to Castle Martin.
Martin. What else did I do? I spent a bit of time on the recruitment team, actually, in between.
Yes.
Between that, because I broke my wrist playing football.
Yeah.
Only 2 weeks. That was good fun, actually. Did like a week in Stafford for careers fair thing, which was good. Which was a good laugh, and then a week in Sunderland.
So I remember talking to you when you was on that, and you were just travelling around everywhere, weren't you?
Yeah.
Doing all these different fairs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was wicked, mate. I mean, we were with Jules as well, which you couldn't ask for anyone better.
Yeah, top bloke he is.
Yeah. And, mate, honestly, we just basically just standing at a stall almost, just chatting shit to people that were interested.
All good blokes as well.
Yeah.
I wonder what half of them are doing now. I think it's just lose contact, don't you?
Yeah.
And I think it's just one of them where everyone just gets on with their life.
Yeah.
They've got kids to look after and families to feed and stuff. So
That's it, mate, yeah.
And plus, when you're halfway up the country, it's hard to keep in contact with 120 blokes in a squad from a squadron.
Yeah.
Isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So you did some of your more career courses, and you deployed again, out 13. Just before we move on to that, is there anything on them in between that period and pre-deployment training that stands out of anything that's wild, funny, sombering?
Do you know what, mate? I can't remember.
Is that a word? Sombering? I don't know. It is, isn't it? I'm
Yeah.
sure I've heard some posh people use it before.
Yeah. I can't remember. I don't think so, mate. No, I mean, we obviously did pre-deployment again, which was all right. I can't remember anything specifically standing out.
Big difference from the first time to the second time.
Huge difference. I mean, if I look back at like pre-deployment the first time, it was amateur compared to the pre-deployment we did the second time, wasn't it?
It's because there was a lot more lessons learned during that time, wasn't there?
Huge. I mean, we a lot more structure, a lot more educational, a lot more real.
I thought it was more Afghan based.
Yeah, huge.
100%. Because
I remember spending time in a fob on the first pre-deployment.
We
training.
didn't. I don't think we did. I think we stopped in some buildings once to have a bit of R&R and exercise, and then it was just a general normal exercise.
Yeah.
If I remember rightly, like your CT 123.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And then when we did the pre-deployment training, all even the CT 123 was all tour based, as it was every other time we did anything after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot more in depth, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot more structured, a lot better. And actually, how they set it up as well was a lot, with kit and equipment and the big balloon things that they used to stick up, and having our hats and debts and stuff as well with us was good, wasn't it? So yeah, it's a lot more realistic. And to be fair, the second tour was completely different as well, wasn't it? To the first, and for me, it's like a lot different as well in terms of like roles. So I'd moved into SHQ. Which was all right. It's not something I wanted to do, but we did.
So what's SHQ for people that are listening?
Squadron headquarters. It's essentially where like the OC and 2IC and their troop really. So it's not really a fighting troop. It's a troop that sits behind the fighting troops and conducts the battle, I suppose, is the easiest way.
It's like a rebro station as well, isn't it? It's like a moving rebro.
Yeah.
So we all report to you, and then because of your range, because you set up mass and stuff, then you report back to...
Yeah, essentially, yeah. It's command and control, isn't it? Yeah, it's the easiest way to look at it. So that was a bit... that was a bit crap, because that's never really where I wanted to be. But, I had Hendos in there, Dan was the free boy, who was brilliant. A lot different, and I got there was a chap who was meant to look after the ECM,
Yep.
who then conveniently decided that he couldn't go on tour on the date that he needed to go on tour, which meant I had to go. So it was a sort of double-edged smack in the face, because one, I knew I was going to end up looking after this stuff even though I was told that I wasn't, and secondly, I had to fly out 5 days early, which I hadn't expected to and hadn't planned to, and didn't really find out until, probably 4 or 5 days before that anyway. So
Yeah, because we used to come and take the kit off you, didn't we? I remember you having to sign it off, you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the job wasn't that it was just a bit boring. To be fair, I did have a bit of a mixed thing. I think the more I moaned and the more I sort of whined about it, the more that then I sort of started to get, out with you lads a bit more. So, that was all right. And I probably, in the end, looking back, probably spent my time mixed between Bastion and the PB. So it was all right. It just wasn't as it wasn't really what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? I remember having lots and lots of tantrums about just please, just get me back with the lads. And, get me.
It's frustrating, I suppose. I can only imagine it's frustrating the fact you went out there to do a job and then ended up doing something else. Yeah. And then not only that as well, seeing everyone else go out, which is quite annoying as well.
Yeah, it's hard, mate, as well. It's hard to take because you just there's all my mates and I'm here, and the lads that were in Bastion were great, but they weren't not my circle of friends. Do you know what I mean? So that was it was weird, but I did all the cool things. Came out on the big ops, and I'd fly down and sort of get lifts as much as I could to Price, or did random stuff a lot, and did spend quite a few weeks actually in whatever it was called. Where were we? In that little PB, whatever that was called. Remember? The little Kandak, in the Kandak.
Kandak. It rings a bell. Where was that?
In Garcia? Was it?
Yes. So you had Fob Price, Kandak.
Yeah.
Near that way. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, that was what I was thinking about. I did come out with you. I did leave at first, that was right. So I did about 2 months in the Kandak at first, because I was there. It was only after 2 months then that I was called back to be in Bastion full time, which drove me mad.
I can imagine that was dreadful.
Yeah.
Being there. It was just like a garrison by the time. It was a completely different place from when we first got there on 13 and when we left. I remember we got there, we went to go and get food, and then people were like, "Oh no, you got to go and get showered, you got to go and get shaved." You're like, mate, I'm coming past this camp for like 5 hours. Yeah. I said, I haven't even got my shower kit with me.
Okay, we were just cutting around in shorts and t-shirt, weren't we? Like wherever we wanted to go. The second time it was like, you got to put Ivor's vest on, Ivor's belt and beret and stuff, and you're like, where the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Shit, mate. Shit. Didn't enjoy it that much, to be fair. That enjoyed being with the lads. Didn't really like being in Bastion. So yeah, a bit of a crap on. Yeah, but it's what it is.
So coming towards the end of the tour, then before we left, do you ever remember when Biscuits and was it Ash and Cano got blew up?
Yeah, so I remember that. Yeah, I mean, I was in Bastion at the time there. So obviously from the other perspective, seeing it there was a big screen with lots of information that come through. It's basically, it's not radio track that's translated, but it's almost radio message that's that are also convinced. So we saw it sort of come through as that numbers and sort of quickly figured out what was going on, and then for us, there it was just a waiting game basically. And then. Obviously with Biscuits and Ash, quite close to them, waiting for them to fly back in, really, and going down to see them in the, in the hospital and stuff, and that from that perspective. So
because Keno had a bit of a hard time as well, didn't he? Well, they all did, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Keno. Oh, I could be wrong. I think Keno. I didn't see Keno in Bastion, because I think his turnaround between coming to Bastion and then going to the UK was quite quick, I think.
Yeah, I think he was.
Well, I didn't get the opportunity to see him anyway. Put it that way, So
I've had a chat with him after. He got put into an induced coma pretty quick.
Yeah.
I'm adamant he may have come off that a little bit worse at that particular time. Obviously, you've got the Biscuits, they're still got the same issues, and he's now an amputee, isn't he? For it, and to be honest, I feel personal opinion is a lot better for it now. Seeing him after it all and all the meds he was on, he was not him. So I feel, this is only your opinion, and hopefully he'll come on and correct me. I'm sure he will. He was probably in a bad space, and it was hard for. I presume, like yourself, it's hard to watch, isn't it? It's hard to watch someone who's so independent to then having to rely on medication and crutches. Yeah, and it must be hard for him as well.
Yeah,
and hopefully I can get him on. I've asked him, and I feel like he might sway, but he's not good with words anyway. That's why we call him Batco. Well, I call him Batco because he sounds like a Batco wallet. Yeah. If you ever try to read the Batco wallet, that's what he sounds like. And he hates but loves that comment. So you didn't get a chance to see.
Didn't get a chance to see Keno. No.
Yeah, Keno.
And I mean, all the lads had pretty quick turnarounds, but I think it was just like from our perspective there wasn't much we could do, and we didn't really know the state of them either because you don't know what's happened. You don't know, it's just a message of, T whatever, blah blah blah, time of injury and stuff. You just see that come through, and that they're coming in, and you go down, and you sort of not allowed to sort of see them because they've been worked on and just trying to get the opportunity really just to be like, you're right, it's anything you need, blah blah blah. That was it, mate, really. And then tour was done, wasn't it? Then we're back.
Yeah. As easy as that, eh?
Easy as that, yeah.
So what'd you get up to this time on your R&R?
LA, mate.
LA? Nice.
LA and Spain. I did 2 back-to-back holidays. It was wicked.
Yeah.
That was it, mate. And then I'm trying to remember what year that was. Was that 2012?
2010. 2012 was the floods, wasn't it? Did you do the floods down in Windsor?
Yeah.
2012, yeah, same year. I'm sure it was 2012. Same. We did the floods and then rolled straight into the Olympics.
Did we?
Yeah, or the other way around, one of the two.
Yeah, can't remember. I don't know. I missed most of the floods because I was on a course, which was wicked.
Nice.
Yeah.
What course was you on?
Again, I can't remember, mate. It might have been JCC or something, like Part 2 or something like that. Or Advanced 6, I can't remember. But anyway, it was like watching all you guys suffer. Thought I cheeked it. Cheeked it hard, mate, coming back. And then getting told, Monday morning, you have the lads. Fuck.
Right, Windsor's flooding. You need to go and fill sandbags and walk around and make sure people are all right.
Yeah.
It's quite weird that was being deployed in that aspect, and it was quite cool.
Yeah.
But I bet it wasn't cool for everyone else whose houses were getting flooded.
Oh, yeah.
And it was mad. And I remember we were going down to the river and watching narrowboats just spinning like that down there. I was like, oh, that's going to be expensive. And it was mad. And one of the boats, like as I was saying, had just become unmoored, if that's the word that they use, these Navy boat lot or whatever they are. But yeah, it was quite bonkers. And then being stood in the water waist high, and then 50 metres away, the flow of that water was about 30 mile an hour. It must have been more than that, I don't know. Yeah. But it was fast. And I remember thinking, if we got sucked into that, we'd have no chance. Yeah. And bumping into the firemen as well, it's really weird because they all had poking sticks and we were all just bowling around like, right, mate, how's it going? Yeah, he's like, you guys not got sticks?
Yeah,
like,
drinking Monster, smoking fags and stuff. And I remember going to this like a temporary flood defence thing, that big metal fence thing, and I think it was like that. It didn't work, or it was the floods were that bad. It didn't work, and we were taking it down. And it was just same thing. I remember an environment agency dude tipping up and sort of asking us questions. We all knew what was going on, and it's basically a bunch of lazy lance jacks, basically smoking fags, just watching troopers do work. And, I don't know, mate. Right.
Because it was just all so last minute, weren't it? It's very interesting to do though, but also very weird when you drive back around there now, and then having seen how high the water was in some of the places like down near Datchet, and thinking, I didn't realise it was that deep there.
Yeah.
And it's bonkers, isn't it, about how high it actually was. It was quite mad.
It's mad as well. It's happening all the time now as well, isn't it? Like I don't know if it's made any better down there, but like constant flooding now, isn't it? It's mad. But yeah.
And then straight into the Olympics.
Olympics was good though, wasn't it?
Yeah. You're only allowed 2 beers. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, yeah. Yeah, 2 large beers.
Yeah.
2 gallons.
Yeah. I mean, I think we had I don't think we could have asked for anything better.
No.
Like just being on standby.
But we weren't on standby. We were on the reserve list or something like that.
Yeah.
It was mad.
Yeah. It's wicked, and it's Tobacco Dock. Like, I just can't explain how easy it was.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think the accommodation was pretty grim that we had.
Yeah, we were like stuck in like the basement of some.
Yeah, where was it? It was like a fire. I'll tell you what it was. It was a fire exit alleyway to a car park, and that would have been probably used when Tobacco Dock was thriving as an escape route. Yeah. And we were just all, and it was just enough to get a 6 foot bed in, and then you had enough space to walk past the end of your bed. And if you didn't like someone, obviously all in jest, you'd kick their bed in when they're sleeping. So you just
or did like someone,
or genuinely didn't like them and then kick their bed.
Yeah,
it was bonkers.
It was good though, wasn't it? Like I remember we got up at 4, didn't we? I think, or we had to stand to from like 4 till 8 every day. So we'd like get up, basically get dressed, go back to sleep, just in clothes. Have some breakfast, and then just fucked about in London all day. It was wicked.
Yeah. It was pretty good, and
free tube as well, so we could go wherever we wanted. Cause
that's right. Yeah, when we finish and we go to the cinemas and we show our army ID, because who come to see us? It was Boris Johnson, wasn't it? Boris Johnson was there. I remember him sat at the table with all the officers, and all the officers are all having a chat with him, and it was all recorded and that for the news. And that's when he was like, "Oh, okay, so we'll do. So your army ID can get you to and from like home and stuff like that. So anywhere in London to Windsor would get us all in and out for free. So you could go home at the weekend. But then I'm sure they put on some transport for the weekends, didn't they? I'm sure they did.
We didn't. I don't think we got many weekends off anyway, did we?
Yeah, I might be getting mixed up with the transport at the end of the week. End of the. I wouldn't even call it a deployment, but at the end of the time there.
Yeah, I don't think we got any time off. I think like as in days. I think we just got like between the morning stand to like the evening stand to. Apart from like probably the 4 days that we had to actually do something. And ended up sleeping in the gym, didn't we, for about half a day, and then went to Lord's. It was Lord's Cricket Ground for a day or something. And
yeah, that's right. It's, remember when we left that place? I don't know if you remember this. And you remember all the mannequins everywhere?
Yeah.
Just mannequins everywhere. And I don't know what it's for. People reckon it was for like a film of some kind, some weird film. And I remember seeing one, and I was like, that'd look good in our office, that would. Because remember we had like stuff that people have been awarded or stuff that people have found on different operations like Bosnia, Kosovo, Iraq, and it was all like pinned up the wall. And I was like, right, this is the time that I can grab something. So I got on the coach, I went, hold on a minute. I was like, oh, we got to go. And I sprinted off. And I went into this like doorway, grabbed this mannequin, same size as me as well. It's about 6'2" or whatever it was, ran back onto the coach. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, it's Airborne Pete. And from then on in, it was just called Airborne Pete. And then we put him, do you remember him in the office, stood up?
Yeah. I remember him,
Yeah, and it was like, God, drive, before someone comes out and gets us, because they had security there, didn't they? And then we put him in the office, and then we dressed him up in like an airborne schmag, a beret. And then I don't know what jacket he had on, but it was in there for ages. And I went back in there after being, I went to B Squadron, and then away, and then I come back, he was still there. Yeah. And I was like, man, how mad that is.
Yeah. I bet. Do you know what, mate? I bet that story's been lost though.
Yeah.
What's saying that?
There'll probably be a different story from now.
Yeah. I wonder what. Yeah.
I have to find someone and see if. I doubt he's still there.
Well, not there because he was. I wonder if he got taken on the move to wherever it is they are now, Bulford or whatever. But
But yeah, do you remember? Do you not remember that?
I remember Airborne Pete. Yeah, I remember him. Yeah, I remember him really well. Yeah. Yeah.
You'd even acknowledge him when you walked into the room.
Yeah. He's good.
Pete, how's it going?
He's brilliant. Yeah, we had some great. It was I can't remember who was the squadron leader at the time. Was it Ongaro?
Yeah, he's a bloke, isn't he?
Yeah, he was good. He was good at because some of the squadron leaders would never let that happen, would they?
No.
Let's be honest. But he had a good
sense of humour.
A good sense of humour, didn't he? And
He got the crack.
Yeah,
he got it.
Yeah.
And fair play to him. I bumped into him ages after that, and he was still. I think he was like training colonels or something, and he's still the same, really down to earth, softly spoken guy. Really nice guy. And it must have been quite hard for him coming to us because he was Scott's DG, and then that was the second squadron leader we had like that. So that must have been quite hard in itself, being a different cat badge, and then having to then put up with us lunatics.
Yeah, both good though. We went to Italy with him as well, didn't we? We did the 3 weeks in Italy.
Yeah. You want to talk about that? Any good? Enjoy it?
That was good fun, that was, I thought, I
thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah. We did really good. That was really good. Obviously, we were training the Italians, weren't we? We were trying to... I could be wrong here, but I think they wanted to create some sort of reconnaissance element or something. And anyway, long story short, we had a number of Italians attached to us, didn't we? Like 1 or 2 per troop. And we were using it as a training exercise as well. So we were doing all sorts of activities, weren't we, for the first week, from like CQB to going through that river thing, to like going, like confidence exercises and all sorts of stuff. That was really good.
Do you remember your massive insertion tab?
Massive insertion tab, yeah. That was.
Was it 20k? Wasn't it? Was that 20k?
Yeah, easy.
Yeah, easy. 20k insertion, but it was to represent infiltrating behind enemy lines, wasn't it, as a recce element?
Yeah.
How did that go? I remember hearing on the net and just it didn't sound bad. It was just like you needed to keep moving because it was cold as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all right, mate. I just remember that one. That's something, that exercise we did. You're talking about that one?
Yeah, the final X pretty much, yeah.
I can just remember like Boggy giving me a sandbag full of ammo that had like 2 pieces of paracord on it, basically. And I'm going like, just looking at it going like, there's not enough paracord on that for it to be comfortable with all the other kit. And for 15k, it just rubbing against my neck because I couldn't carry it like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just like, ugh. Yeah. That was like my rage that got me through that march of just like, I hate this string. But yeah, that's good. I thought it was good exercise, wasn't it? I mean, like we didn't. The exercise itself was probably bang average in terms of exercises, but like been in Italy, been in that environment.
Not an environment that you've been before. So even looking at a map was completely new every time. It's like when you train in Salisbury, you're like, oh, the wig's over there. We know how to get there, type of thing.
Exactly, yeah. And we had good fun, I think. And then we had a bit of time off, didn't we? So we had, I think we had 2 days off, 48 hours off or something. I went to Rome on a train to Rome. So that was
that's decent. Right, yeah.
And again, so I've been to Rome for almost free, basically, for probably $15, $30, for €30 train trip and a hotel that, we shared with 4 lads. So, great piss up. Yeah. And then,
it was good. I remember one of the, we didn't get a message because we were with a different troop, that we were gated. And I'd been out 5 hours already. Where were you guys? What's that? Drunk at that. What's that? You're meant to be gated, you lot. I was like, oh, okay, I'll come back now.
That's the only bad thing was like,
But admittedly, they're probably trained a lot different to us. So I don't know whether it was just the people we were with, but I didn't feel that their training was could have been as robust as us. At that time, anyway. Time, I think because as we go out, sleep depth and
it's just different, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just mad. It was surreal.
It's just I don't know why this has just come to me, but who did the desktop? Do you remember that officer? I can't remember
let's
his
not
name.
let's not name and shame. Let's not name and shame.
Probably a good job I can't remember. But that was funny.
Yeah, that did. But it's weird, isn't it? Because that's stuff like that happens, and if you'd have done that round here, it would have been a completely different ball game. But yeah, no, stuff like that happens. Yeah,
funny, very funny.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other courses that you can think of?
Crew Commandos was decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a course. Matter of fact, actually, I owe you a massive thank you for that one, because obviously we weren't allowed my phone, right? So you remember me ringing you one day? I was on Crew Command. Oh, you probably can't remember this.
No.
Right, so I don't think we were allowed. I don't know if we weren't allowed our phones or whatever. But anyway, I got bored. I was in Harbour. I thought, I'm going to ring my mate Bondi. You'd done the Crew Commanders before, mate. And I was like, all right, mate. And like, yeah, blah, 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 what are you doing? Oh, in this hide, got this thing, got helicopters coming in tonight. And you were like, oh, when them helicopters come in, you're going to get ambushed by 2 warriors, mate.
Yes, I remember this. Yeah. Yes, I remember.
Jen, and you were like, yeah, promise you, mate, promise you. And I was like,
and I told you to set your GPS, didn't I?
Yeah.
Make sure you have these in your GPS.
I was like, I remember like speaking to lads and being like, lads, look, don't say anything, but when we're going to get ambushed tonight, and when we get off these helicopters, and I was like, they're like, how do you know? And I was like, lads, as soon as I can just run towards the warrior as fast as you can, because there's going to be a tree line there, you've got a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally did, mate. And then all the other lads were like, all the other sections or whatever were like, oh, I was graft, mate, got chased down the road for like 8 miles by this warrior, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, not us, mate.
Straight into the woodblock.
Straight into the woods, ran straight through to the other side, took a bit of a detour back, didn't see anything, even this, like, no idea where he went. It's like, good.
All right.
Yeah, nice leisurely walk back.
No, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
There'll be someone watching this now. We've got to strip them of their course now.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. And then did gun instructors, which was decent. Yeah, I really enjoyed gun instructors. Eventually, obviously, went on to Carder to become an instructor down at Lulworth, which was wicked. I mean, you can't knock that place. That's a fantastic place to live. Right by the beach. And a relatively straightforward standard job as well. You're teaching an instructor's course. As you probably yourself. You could be working till from 7 in the morning till 10, 11 o'clock at night. Helping people prep or teaching them or whatever. You could be doing that over 4 or 5 months. But on the other hand, in the summer when you haven't got a course on, there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
You're 5 minutes away from the beach, canoeing,
and the weather's good down there as well.
Bloody brilliant, mate. Yeah, and the mess was fantastic, and yeah, what a life that was, mate. What a life that was.
I can only imagine. Not for me, gunnery school. It was never one of these things that was like even on the forefront of my career path.
Yeah.
It's just like I can't. It's too. The way you teach was just writing on that.
Right, it's correct.
Yeah, it's just too right and correct, mate. It's,
not like
I don't know. Yeah, D&M's just wrong in it.
Reading out of a book.
Exactly. Yeah.
Use spanner to put on this thing. Don't lick petrol. Yeah.
And then I still lick the petrol.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good, mate. It was good fun. And to be fair, we just constantly constantly on the ranges, just shooting stuff. So I know that admittedly it wasn't us that were shooting much apart from demo shoots and stuff, but it's still good fun to be involved in all that.
I presume the job satisfaction, like you were briefly touched on, about training people of not hitting the targets and then bringing them on, which I can relate to, was coaching people on ranges in small arms. I get that.
Yeah.
Job satisfaction wise, even the driving and maintenance side of it. I didn't end up teaching a lot of people because I ended up doing all sorts. I took the first half of a course on to stand in for someone before a Canada deployment, and even then I enjoyed it, but I love soldering. I wanted to go away and do my soldering, so and that I did, and I did that for quite a long time. But yeah, so your job satisfaction down there was brilliant.
Yeah, it was really good, mate. I mean, training, teaching people to be instructors was immensely satisfying. If you know what I mean, to watch, to almost look back in your mind and go for a small group of 4 or 5 lads of going they came down here and they couldn't teach anything. Do you know what I mean? They didn't got a clue. Yeah. To then watching them be able to generally teach and educate others was pretty rewarding, and because of the effort you got to put in as well, it was good. But yeah, that was decent, and obviously forgot Canada. We did Canada twice. I did 6 months in Canada for that observer mentor thing. That was great. Where else did we go? Germany, God, we did all sorts, didn't
Germany Cat, yeah.
Yeah.
That it's like that computer game, wasn't it?
we? Yeah.
That was mad.
Yeah.
People going into each other's turret and sending the squadron leader like
Yeah.
naughty messages. That was hilarious.
Justin. That's all I'll say. Justin. Oh, what a lad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that cat was probably. It's like another Castle Martin situation, isn't it? But
Yeah,
on
it
the
is.
more boring side, like.
Yeah. It's all about combat, isn't it? About the system, like the radio system, and using it, and
Yeah.
very interesting, especially when it works as well. Really good piece of equipment.
Yeah, great. Yeah, but it never works.
Yeah.
It never works in reality.
And I think a lot of that is like user error.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolute meatheads on
Yeah, absolutely.
on the computer screens trying to stick in their tongue out. Oh.
Yeah. But we didn't have a look at it anyway. Let's be honest, mate. Even if it did work.
Yeah, I think it's probably better in a conventional war environment. I think that's what it's designed for, isn't it? I mean, I never really understood it anyway. I kind of understood it. I understood that it was situational awareness, wasn't it, and the bigger picture, because you could see everyone else. The problem with that is if you haven't got your vehicle captured, everyone can see the thingy. I'm sure you could do something remotely to sort it out. You can change like the whatever. Anyway, I don't think we should talk about it too much because I know it's restricted still, isn't it? But yeah, so is there anything else in your career that really jumps out to you?
No, mate. I mean, honestly, I think we had I had a decent crack. Absolutely loved it. You know, generally sad when I had to leave.
So what was your mental headspace like when you left then?
Not great, if I'm honest. Like,
Yeah.
I really struggled for quite a while. I just didn't really understand what my routine looked like, and I think what I didn't realise really until I left is like I am quite routine orientated. You know, I'm quite sort of dependent on having a one thing after the next. So I did find it a bit difficult at first. So, plus with the sort of pressure of like family and, getting a job and all that stuff. Yeah, I found it quite difficult, even down to the point sometimes I'd sort of go like, when do I have a shower? Do I wake up in the morning to have a shower? But like I want to go to the gym later, so like, do I have a shower then? And it was like,
like indecisiveness.
Yeah, stupid little things. And then it took me a while, and then I tried different routines, and it didn't, it wasn't great because, maybe you got, maybe naive until the point I got home really to realise how much effort kids are and stuff. And you go, okay, I need to start doing that now, which means I can't do that then. And or then go to the gym at sort of 7-8 o'clock at night, and we'll get back from work, and then you go, okay, I need to eat now, so I can't go to the gym at 7 like I'd planned because I need to eat, and then before you know it, it's 10 o'clock at night. So just finding a good routine, and also finding a job I think that you're happy with as well.
So what do you do now then?
So now I'm basically what's called a practice lead for business operations. So within the company that I work for, there's sections of, so it's a consultancy. So a profession is led by a person, and then they are essentially assigned to a job, but they're always owned by the practice. They're always looked after by the practice, and I run that practice basically for business operations analysts.
Enjoy it?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I really like the people I work with.
That's
like,
good.
It's taken a long.
I think that's half a battle, isn't it?
Yeah, and I mean, there's not everybody, because I think a lot of people there are actually arseholes, but there's a group of about 5 or 6 people which are very borderline squaddy behaviour, squaddy mentality, and sometimes almost a bit too dark for their own good, really.
Yeah.
So obviously clicking onto that straight away and getting to know them has been pretty good. It's made a difference. But job-wise, it's not great. Like, I'd like to be doing something a bit more, not active's not the right word, but I'd like to be doing something a bit more hands-on, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But
do you feel like you have a purpose at the minute? No.
No, our purpose is to retire, mate. That's what it is. To earn as much money as I possibly can and retire. It's not the same though, is it? Like, I don't know. Like, when I was in the military, like I was very, very proud to say I was in the military. Like,
Yeah.
I loved it. I'm in the army. And I also found that other people were proud. Like my parents. I'm not saying they're not proud now, but they were very, always in the army, always in that. That stuff like that. Head of a big practice of business operations is not something that despite the fact getting paid like way more money and having a better quality of life at home and stuff. Like, I'd probably swap it for the other way around because I was probably generally happier then, if that makes sense.
How do I word this? Is that because you're comparing your current job with your old job and how your old job in the military was compared to what it is now?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, lifestyle wise. I mean, job wise, yeah, I don't know. You can't. I don't think I can compare the two together. I think what I'm looking at it is from a perspective of how satisfied am I.
Okay.
So I never experienced in the army like waking up in the morning and not wanting to go to work, or Monday blues, or all these things. Like, but now, sometimes I'm like, fucking, I cannot be arsed with this. Do you know what I mean? I never really had that. Like, I had stuff in the army where I was like, I can't be asked to go and run 8 miles. There was never anything in the morning where I was like, oh my God, I'm banging my head against the wall because I don't want to go.
Yeah.
I also just hate sitting down at a desk all day. I hate it. I hate it. And I find some of the corporate stuff like really annoying, like really, really frustrating because, even at being a rather respectable level, I think, for the company I work at, conversations for conversations, and the amount of I've got a bit of a reputation for getting stuff done because I'll just go and get it done because that's what we're taught.
Attitude,
that's what we're taught in the army. Just go and get it done. I don't want 15 conversations about it. Just go and get it done. If we make a mistake, we make a mistake. Let's just get on with it.
Yeah.
But I find that quite frustrating of where I've got to go and speak to Joe Blogs, speak to so and so, speak to so and so, speak to so and so, to just be able to make a relatively simple decision that then could have been made at the start, which is ultimately never made, or made in 4 weeks, which is ridiculous.
So how do you compare your success now in a sense of having a successful job? There's a conversation I've been having with a few people about how they're measuring their success out of the army, and some people think that they're not successful at all, but actually being a good father and keeping food on the table is successful. And I think a lot of people have a misconception of that they need to earn millions and millions to be successful, when that's actually not the case. Right. What do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely agree, mate. I think success is about experiences and opportunities that you can provide. Like for me, anyway, like my family now.
Yeah.
With the children and hopefully giving them more opportunities than what I had when I grew up. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be loaded to do that. But I think that's success. That family life, that that reward of seeing them grow up, being happy, and get to do certain things that hopefully they enjoy and they look back and go from there. But I won't lie. Obviously, money helps.
Yeah, absolutely. But bloody helps.
Yeah, of course it does. But
frees your time up as well, doesn't it? If you've got a bit of money behind you, it can help free your time up. And I feel like some people, I don't know if you've ever come across it. It's like when you talk to some people, and this was when I was leaving. Some of the people that were out, I felt like how do I word this? The world owed them something, and I didn't feel that they were going to come or be anything essentially. Yeah, and I thought it was quite weird headspace to be in for them.
Yeah,
I couldn't grasp it. I really couldn't.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Yeah, I think it's not just people that were in the army as well. I think you see a lot of people now just generally feels like the world owes them a favour, when actually all you want to do is go just.
Yeah.
It's always with these people. Like, stop being an arsehole, as in, stop blaming other people for your own mistakes. If you're crazy, I don't know whether it's true, but if you're in debt, go do something about it.
Yeah.
Just don't wait for the world to come and sort it out for you because it ain't going to happen.
Definitely a good mentality to have those, mate.
But yeah, also, some people are lazy, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think some of the lazy people in the army get overlooked because they do it through discipline, and then when it comes to their own doing it on their own space, then they don't do it. And I think there could be a lot more successful army leavers out there, or military leavers. Because I've sort of felt that at the same time as well. I can be madly lazy if I want to. But then once I get a bee in my bonnet, I'm gone. That's it. There's no stopping me.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a lot to do with the military, and I'm glad for that experience. I don't know if you ever feel the same way.
No, absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It gives you a sort of sense of drive and I think a level of standard to achieve. I think that's what I think it's given me most. Is, I will do the best, whatever it is. I'll do it to a certain level of my ability, because I wouldn't want to embarrass myself. And I think I get that from the military. You wouldn't do something in the military to half standard, probably because you're going to get fucking bollocked. But your life would be shit. But and whether that's the reason I do it now, I don't know. But I'll never do half a job. And, you keep doing what you're doing. But again, on the same side, I'm lazy. But that's my right now, isn't it? I think to be lazy when you want and work hard for the rest of the time. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Has there been a point since you've left or during where you've realised that you've had to make some type of mental sacrifice? In a sense of struggling in any way? Yeah,
I've struggled a lot since I came out of the army. So I got diagnosed with depression about 2 years ago. A lot of that is actually to do with the condition I've got now, which we were obviously speaking about earlier. But I generally think a lot of it was due to finding it hard from going from one to another. I found it very difficult to. I just felt very lonely, if I'm honest. I just all my mates had, even though they were only around the corner or only a phone call away, and I could ring them any time. Almost felt like I couldn't ring them because I didn't want to ask for help, or didn't want to go like, I'm struggling, or I'm having a bad day, or whatever that might be. I found that really hard, and I found just being on my own and just sort of cycling it through in my head was really difficult.
Not being occupied, essentially.
Yeah, exactly, mate, exactly. And to be fair, that got a lot better when I found people at work where I could interact with them more like they were squaddies. So drinking and having a laugh and having a bit of a crude sense of humour, and I think trusting them that the fact that you could make that dark joke and that they're not going to take it seriously or personally.
It's a big thing at the minute, isn't it? I think I can't remember who it was. They said if a psychologist, that's the word I'm looking for, if they actually heard half the jokes that we cracked, they'd want to section us. But none of us mean it at all whatsoever. It's just a case of who could say the darkest joke.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what's funny? I had this conversation the other day with someone about, they said that they didn't say directly, but they're implying that the military was homophobic. And I was like, absolutely disagree.
Could be far from it.
Yeah, I was like, absolutely disagree. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, the army will make a lot of jokes about being gay or homophobic.
Yeah.
But none of it is meant in the way that it's,
meant on
if I call you gay, I'm not actually calling you gay. I'm just trying to insult you in some way, shape or form. And actually there's so many gay people, I suppose, in the army that one, you wouldn't even know they were gay. Two, even if they were gay, who cares?
Yeah, no one actually cares.
No one cared. I've never been in any organisation where literally no one cares. And I mean, not in a bad way, no one cares, but literally no one cares. You could be
just turn up and do your job.
Yeah, you could come to work in a bright pink suit, and as long as you're going to accept the fact that someone's going to take the piss out of you for wearing a bright pink suit, no one gives a fuck.
Yeah, I think that's well put, to be honest, mate. So, what was how did you get over it, essentially?
How did I get over it? I don't think I have.
No, it's just an ongoing thing. Yeah. What's your coping mechanism then?
Good question. Don't think I've got one.
No, you just sort of get on with it.
In truth, mate, it's just bottle it up until it comes too much, and then it comes too much for a week, and then bottle it back up again.
So what's you nailed it. Yeah. So, if you don't mind me asking, what happens when you bottle it up? What's the outburst? And how do you know that's going to happen? Oh
God! I suppose the outburst for me is an overwhelming fear to run away, or the desire to run away. I'll get this just, whether that's like I want to go camping or I want to just be away from everyone. Normally come around that, pretty quick. A lot of mine, if I'm honest, is now known and it's pain related as well. So, at the time of going through the diagnosis I've just got, it takes quite a long time, and I'm in pain quite a lot, and that was obviously a big part of it. So when I did go to therapy and stuff, and we could never nail it down, a lot of it was like, I'm in fucking pain 24/7. Like, give me a break. So, yeah.
Is that the physical pain from?
Yeah.
What do you want to unpack that a bit? What you got diagnosed with?
Yeah. So I got what's called axial SPA or axial spondylitis or something is the right word. So essentially, it's arthritis in my back and my pelvis, where my body's attacking the healthy cells in between in the joints. So I get flare-ups basically where it becomes like extremely inflamed and extremely sore.
Yeah.
Really, really painful. But it took quite a long time to really get to that point, because you don't really know, what's going on. It's, if you have a bit of pain in your leg or a bit of pain in your hip, a bit of pain in your back, you can do certain things which make it worse, and you just don't really, you don't really ever think that that's actually going to get some sort of like disease or whatever. You just think, I've got a bad back, I've got a bad hip, whatever it might be. But yeah, so like some of the conditions with that, it's closely linked with depression and tiredness and stuff. Tiredness is one of the big ones. So looking it back and tying it all together, it's quite evident that really that was the main cause, and I probably would have never gone through that without this, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But for me, mate, truthfully, it's in all honesty, probably just need to get better. Like I needed people around me. I needed people to speak to. I just didn't want to burden anyone with like my problems. Didn't want to ring anyone up and be like, can you come over for a brew, or just even a chat. And
I bet you any money there's about, I couldn't even put a number on it. If they listen to this, I'll be like, why didn't you just call me?
Yeah, 100%.
Why don't you call me?
Yeah, well, that would be...
For a start.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly,
there's one.
I would have said the same thing.
Yeah.
But I think you sort of just wrap yourself in a little bit of a,
I think a lot of people try to become a man and just burden it, which is what a lot of men do anyway. They burden a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. And like with the kids and stuff, with the missus, like, I don't want them to see...
Yeah, no.
Don't want them to see that, do you know what I mean? Don't want to see...
It's understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, so...
I mean, by the way you have spoke about it, you seem to be able to cope with it quite well. You have your own coping mechanisms.
Yeah. I think...
which I think you've articulated quite well. But like you say, you just want to run away and camp, and it's exactly what it's Bronzell, isn't it? Exactly what it says on the tin.
Yeah. It's... honestly, mate, it's not that bad. I mean, it is bad when it happens, but it hasn't happened... it's happening less. I think for me is that the more I went through... getting this diagnosis, the more it made sense in my mind, and the less it became a problem, if that makes sense.
So the more you made sense of it, the less of a problem it became.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and so how did you do that off the bat then? Did you just start talking about it to someone? Was it the counselling?
More the counselling, I think. More counselling, learning coping techniques and stuff. But can never really nail it on the head, and then obviously as you go through the medical side of it, and you start learning about the actual condition and how that what the symptoms and stuff, and you start to put two and two together, and also the doctors put a lot of it together for you, so
and help you sort of draw the dots.
And,
connect the dots.
Okay, cool. Actually, been in pain for 6 months. We're going to get you down, if you know what I mean. And okay, I get it and stuff. So, but things like that helps, because then you get the right painkillers, you get the right, you get the right treatment. People start to understand, and then you're like, okay, it's not a massive problem now. If I'm honest, like before, like even last week when we were meant to get together, like I couldn't have physically come over to see you, but I didn't want to tell you, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to look like, didn't want to look weak, but then on the other hand, didn't want to look flaky.
Yeah.
So it was like, And that's why like, I had to ring you today and be like, I have to tell you this because if we do it tomorrow, I might not be able to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
because I'm actually I was about to leave to go and see someone else, weren't I, to do this exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I've got to let them know. It'll be a little bit late, but on the other hand, I'm glad I made time for you, as I would have done anyway.
Yeah, no. Of course.
And sort of as we sort of close this up, I think the question I'd like to ask is, what's the most valuable life lesson you've ever learned out of everything that you've ever experienced, whether it be from childhood, operations, exercises, just general life after military life?
Oh, great question. Don't take anything for granted, I would say. There's silly little experiences I've got through my life. Herrick missed orange juice so much. Don't take orange juice for granted. Just don't take anything for granted. The world is a nasty, nasty, horrible place, I think. And we've seen some of the nastier parts of it. Just don't be a dick. Sort of going back to your situation you said earlier about like just see the best in people. 99% of people are just having a hard time or they're having a bad day. They don't need the judgment and the stigma to stay with them for the rest of their life. So help people out. Don't take things for granted. If it's generally an opportunity, take that opportunity. Just enjoy it. We don't need to be negative all the time, do we? So
no. I think I'm sure there's a saying somewhere about negativity and positivity. It's like negative can bring you down twice as quick as anything. And I've got to try and get this right because I'm not doing it any justice. And it's like, if you're negative for 5 minutes, it can bring your whole day down.
Oh yeah.
And there is a saying, I'm going to have to find it somewhere, and it's a really good saying. And I sort of live by it. I'd live by something I can't remember, if that makes sense. But it's in the back of my mind, and I can't pull it out, and it's starting to do my nut now.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, anyway. Yeah. But yeah, so that's your probably biggest life lesson.
Yeah, I think so, mate. Yeah, definitely from learning. I've spent a lot of time over the last few years leaving about being negative. Do you know what I mean? Being negative, but sometimes you just need to kick up the arse to go and then slowly change your mindset. And I think for me, and maybe that was the answer to the question earlier, once I did change my mindset, once I was a bit more positive, once I was a bit open about stuff as well. Yeah. Life is better. Generally life is better.
Yeah, I think a lot of people go through life thinking they can get through it themselves when they can't. Yeah, and I think the more people you have around you, the better. Yeah. Some people probably beg to differ with that, but that's what I always think. The more people around you, the better.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for calling me this morning. It was nice to hear your voice first thing this morning.
Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah, I know. And obviously, in true squaddy fashion, when you were telling me your serious matters, I was having none of it, was I?
No, not.
I was like,
wouldn't have expected.
Are you taking the mick, mate?
Wouldn't have expected anything else.
Yeah,
mate,
good. And I think that for I'll speak for squaddies, I think a tough love mentality helps a lot of us out.
100%.
Because you're born. You say you're born into it. It's when you're born in the military. when you sort of like go into the military and you get a real tough love. I think it goes a long way. I think a lot of people, if they didn't get tough love during training or during the military in general, and it's a hard environment to live in, I think, being in the military, and it weans out the weak. Yeah, I think if you're a weak person, mentally, not that it's a problem, it gets found out pretty quick. Because there's a lot of character building.
Oh yeah,
within that. Years ago, I think, So years ago, there used to be character building, which was probably borderline bullying. But it sort of makes you a harder person. I think that's what a lot of us needed. And that's probably why we're a bit stronger mentally.
I think so.
But then on the other hand, you see all the other stuff and it can bring you down. I think more people should talk. And this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to bring this in so me and you, I didn't want to do it over FaceTime because I don't think you get that one-on-one connection. Yeah. And I don't think you would probably open up as much because of that, if that makes sense. Yeah. And plus, I want to see everyone again. I think it'd be great. So yeah, cheers. Thanks for coming on, and hopefully you'll recommend me to a few people to try and get them on. How do you feel now you've come on? Do you feel
Good, mate.
All right.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it, talking about your own life? I find, well, for me anyway, I find that yeah, it's different. I think, but you're right in terms of like, you know, and it's gonna be quite interesting, like listening to what others say, because I'm sure that they're gonna remember certain things that I probably could have added a sentence or two to. So there's a lot of things that sort of come back. That, like, fucking hell, you know, completely forgot about that. But it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think it's been great. I feel like I feel really light now. It's really weird. I feel like I've had a good old session talking to people, which we have. But yeah, cheers for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man.
Much love.